Of the board of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, please welcome Mary Hallman George.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Peter, you got me? Yeah, down clear. And 4, how about you?
31.
I got you.
This car gets to 31.
You got me?
Okay. I got you.
10-4. Perfect. Radio check.
Front of the 31 or the back of the 31?
Got you loud.
When you're in the 31 stall.
10-4, buddy. Got you.
Your back will already be across the timing line.
So, we're almost set to go for this year's running of the Brickyard 400. When we come back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we'll talk with our in-race reporter for the race today, Carl Edwards, driver of that 99 car, lined up 10th on the grid. Carl has his own unique victory celebration when he gets to the checkered flag first. But is he going to be able to do that backflip today along the yard of bricks at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? He'd do a little kiss following the flip, wouldn't he? I think so. We'll talk to Carl and roll the cars onto the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in a minute. Temperature 90 degrees in Speedway, Indiana, as the 18th running of the Brickyard 400 is about to get underway. Our telecast today presented by Golden Corral from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where we show you now across the top of the screen the starting lineup for today's race. David Reagan on the pole. Georgia driver with his second career pole position. He picked up his first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series win July the 2nd at Daytona. Could he get another one at one of the sports showcase speedways again today? Rest of the starting lineup rolling across the top of your screen. And when we get to the 5th row, you will see car 99. That is today's in-race reporter, Carl Edwards, lined up on the outside of that row. And as he gets set to roll off here, let's talk to him, DJ.
Hey, Carl, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. You have a copy?
I got you loud and clear, Dale.
All right, Carl, thanks for talking with us today. Our first question comes from our ESPN mailbag, and Tim, Evansville, Indiana, asked, how important would it be to bring Jack Roush's first victory at Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
It's just a huge, huge race, and I didn't realize Jack had won this race until we got here this weekend. So for us, Aflac, Ford, Ortho, everybody, this will be a huge day. It's off to a good start. We had a lot of neat stuff with Reba and Rascal Flats, all the big machine records guys, and I think our Fords have been strong enough that we can do it. It'd be cool to be the guy to do that,
Hey, Carl, I know that you try to treat every race the same. You want to win them, but tell us your feelings right now and what's going on inside your head and your stomach as you prepare for this Brickyard 400.
I'm just glad to be in the race car, be out here racing. I mean, this is what we all love to do, and I think Trevor Bain put it in perspective for me when we were going back and forth between ORP and here. He said, man, can you believe we're doing this? I said, what do you mean, Trevor? He goes, we're race car drivers. We're driving all over Indianapolis, getting to race at these places, and it's just cool to be in this race car today.
All right, Carl, thanks for talking with us. You have a great day. Now Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Mr. Bob Osborne.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Bob, Andy Petrie in the booth. You have us?
Sandy, how are you?
I'm great, Bob. Been watching you guys all year long, all you crew chiefs on those boxes trying to outsmart everybody on pit road. I'm kind of wondering just how many pages do you have in that playbook today to try to win this thing?
Hopefully I've got the right page, that's for sure, but you're right. It's been basically hat tricks here trying to figure out what to do at the end of the race to come up with a win. So got to stay on our toes here and look for that unique decision to get out front and win the race.
Okay, Bob, good luck today. Maybe we'll talk to you later.
Get it, Andy. Thanks.
Carl Edwards and that 99 car, and his team, Bob Osborne, leading, all getting ready to go in this running of the Brickyard 400. Carl carrying one of our 8 high-definition onboard cameras in today's race. In a moment here to talk about pushing the envelope of technology a little further forward to bring you more inside the action. In the past, the onboard cameras could only show you one view from inside the car. Now, ESPN and our partner Broadcast Sports have nudged that along further, where carrying the same amount of equipment, the same weight of equipment inside the race car, we can show you 2 views from inside the car. So, for example, we can see Juan Pablo Montoya at work while seeing where he's headed.
You can see thread the needle. There's Dale Earnhardt Jr. See his view from atop the car and what we see of him driving the car.
some point we'll show you just how hard these drivers have to work inside these cars today.
And as the field completes the first of its parade and pace laps, we check down on pit road for some stories there. Dr. Jerry Punch, what have you got?
Thank you, Al. You know, a few years ago, the winning driver stood in victory lane here and sobbing and said, you just don't know what Indy means. Today, teammates Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman both do. Now, as native Hoosiers growing up here, they began coming with family at the age of 5. Both understand the history and heritage of this place. Both know that success here requires momentum and magic. And after a 1-2 finish at New Hampshire, they've got the momentum. As for the magic, well, only time will tell. Dave Burns.
Hey, Doc, David Reagan is today's Gillette Pro Glide profile. He was born on Christmas Eve, 1985, and he's living his NASCAR dream. He's a winner in the Sprint Cup Series as of July at Daytona, and he's driving for one of the premier teams in this sport. Now, it's important that he qualified on the pole today because he's in a contract year, and every resume builder helps. Today, he carries the colors of Hall of Famer Ned Jarrett. Ned, of course, the champion in 1965, drove a blue and white car similar to what David is racing this weekend, and it's appropriate that it's fastest today as we honor one of NASCAR's greats. Jamie Little?
In 3 different practice sessions, there was only one major incident. That was Denny Hamlin's blown engine, his 4th of the year. And his crew chief, Mike Ford, told me today the tires are falling off. They're starting in the very back. That will present a big challenge. He said they need tires every chance they can get, and that puts more of a challenge in the driver's hands. Vince Welch?
If Jeff Gordon is to win his 5th Brickyard today, he's going to have to be better in the early stages of his run. That's been the problem area for this team throughout the course of the weekend. Their car has been very good, but if there's been one issue, it's been at the first few laps of each run. Keep an eye on that for Jeff Gordon today. As for his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr., survival from the 22nd starting position. In visiting with Steve Letarte this morning, basically told me we got to get every position there is to get, but we can't beat ourselves trying to get it. Alan?
Vince, thank you. Some of the many, many stories in this field for this Brickyard 400. Our Goodyear track facts now for today's race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah, what jumped out at me is that lack of banking, 9 degrees in each of these corners. That's what makes this place so difficult as these drivers approach turns 1 and 3 at over 200 miles per hour, trying to get as much speed through the center of these corners. Momentum's what it's all about.
You see that pit window, 30 to 35 laps. Probably be a moving target today because there's ways these teams can use to extend that longer if they need to.
And that 55-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit, there are startling numbers at how heavy the price is you pay if you get busted for speeding on pit road today. We'll talk about that as the pit stops approach early in this race. Speaking of pit stops, our over-the-wall reporter today is Mark Hollywood Armstrong. He's the rear tire changer for Dave Blaney and Tom Baldwin's number 36 today. Hollywood, it's 90 degrees out. How's that heat in this tight pit road going to affect you?
Well, Marty, one of the most important tools down here today for pit crew guys up and down pit road will be trying to stay cool with fans and drink plenty of fluids. It's very hot down here, and with the fans very close to you on both sides of pit road with the stands, there's not a lot of air circulation. So the guys have got to stay cool and keep plenty of fluids in them. As far as pit road, you have to pay attention. Pit road's very tight here. Not only do cars normally have contact with each other, but sometimes the crew guys get involved, and we don't need that down here today. Fans, it's going to be exciting, it's going to be hot, but it's going to be fun.
You think Hollywood's a little jacked up for this race?
I think he's ready. Go get him, Hollywood.
Have a good day down there today, Mark. Beautiful Chevrolet Corvette Grand Sport pace car in front of the field with an honorary pace car driver behind the wheel. Hope Solo, the goalkeeper for the U.S. Women's World Cup soccer team. Just recently completed play over in Germany, is wheeling that machine.
Yeah, heartbreaking loss they had, but she did a fantastic job in the goal.
She's been getting some driving lessons around here this weekend, and they've kind of had to hold her back a little bit. She wanted to go more.
She was disappointed when she found out she had to go 55 miles an hour pacing this field.
A couple of stories to also make note of before we go green. There's Denny Hamlin. Hamlin will start at the back of this field. This was during practice here on Friday afternoon late. The 11 car running very well for Hamlin until this.
Yeah, you see right at the start-finish line, it starts to come apart and then completely blows up, getting in the corner. Very disappointed for this team having to start in the back.
NASCAR's one engine per weekend rule, designed to contain costs for race teams. You change the engine during the weekend, you start at the back of the field. Also, Martin Truex Jr. starting at the back of the field. A transmission change, same thing on that 56 car. He will start at the back of the field. Well, the weather's warm. It's a beautiful summer day. The fans are on their feet. They've been waiting all day for this moment. The drivers as well, anxious for their once-a-year chance to race at Indy. Green flag, we're underway. They all made it through the first two corners. Casey Kane in the 4 car takes the lead.
Yeah, that's really a power move on that high side. Not a lot of grip up there, but Casey Kane made it work.
Kurt Busch, 22, up to second. Pole sitter David Reagan shuffled back to third. That's Montoya in the 42, wide in turn 4.
Kurt Busch got exceptionally close to the wall, maybe a little contact with that turn 4 wall.
Yeah, it looked like he may have had to just squeeze out of the throttle a little bit. You see David Reagan taking advantage of that.
Allmendinger, 43, around Johnson to pick up a spot. While ahead of them, they continue to race for second. Reagan holds off Kurt Busch.
It's so important to be aggressive. I know there's a lot to lose in these first laps, but you got to be aggressive. Try to go for this track position. Man, he got it good. He got it really good. I hope he didn't do any damage to that car, but he did hit it pretty good.
Yeah, and we've seen these cars be extremely tough, but you can't abuse them too much and get the most out of them throughout the day.
It's like Jeff Gordon's on the move. I've seen him be very aggressive, trying to get these spots early. He just got another one over Matt Kenseth.
Gordon started in the 8th position. He's up to 6th in just the opening couple of circuits.
And this was the one thing that they were fighting, low air pressure, where they needed to start their car. Jeff was having a hard time finding the speed that he wanted. He was afraid he was going to lose too much on the start and restart. He had a hard time making that up, Andy.
I know one thing I would do here, I would start the air pressures higher than I really wanted to start them, just because you want to be good at the very beginning, because you can gain or lose so many spots in these first few laps.
There's a challenge for 3rd place. A.J. Allmendinger goes by Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson trying to follow through.
Yeah, and I think maybe we've got some aero damage to that 22 that may affect it more than getting to the tires and knocking the front end or something out of line.
Here's Jeff Gordon on the move again, the 4-time winner.
I think Jeff Gordon has the best looking car early on here from what I've seen. Like I said, he was 3 wide on the first lap down the back straightaway trying to gain these spots, and he's still moving forward.
Gonna try and get alongside Busch here on the back straightaway.
Yeah, it sure looks like Kurt Busch having a hard time holding his car down, and this is really opening the door. It seems to lose 2 more spots to Gordon and Kenseth there.
One thing that Busch has in his favor is he has that good track position now. It's happened early. He'll have time to get it fixed, but he's definitely in a slide going backwards now.
So Kurt's going to go from running second on the opening lap of the race to sliding back. And right now he's shuffled to 7th place. Dale, these races always have a flow to them. The start is always tense. You've gotten through these first couple of laps now inside the car. Does it change for you a little bit?
Yeah, you're kind of getting settled in now. You've got 4 laps under your belt, so you're kind of starting to relax a little bit. You know, the scope of the whole thing and how broad this is and how big this race is starting to kind of settle in now. And now you're just being a race car driver. As we see 3 and 4 wide down the back straightaway here.
Tony Stewart all the way down the bottom.
It's almost 5 wide there for a minute.
My goodness.
That's Casey Mears in the 13, kind of getting shuffled back in that.
It didn't take them long to get settled in. Oh,
contact there.
Is he going to save it?
Joey Logano.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh, my goodness.
What a save.
But Here comes the charge.
Well, I mean, he's lucky to have a car at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, he really is.
That was incredible. There goes Jeff, man. He's still on the move.
That's around Jimmy Johnson. Gordon in fourth.
We're at that point of the race that air pressure has already built up, stabilized, and he's still just as fast. I think he's just got a good car here.
That's Trevor Bayne on pit road in the 21, the Daytona 500 winner. Looked like they were cleaning the grill.
Yeah, could have had an overheating issue. We saw this last year. Doc?
That's exactly what happened. Trevor Bayne got so much grass and debris in the grill, the temperature was just skyrocketing. He couldn't make another lap, had to come in and get it off to be able to get the engine cooled down, guys. Tough break for Trevor early on.
Well, this early in the race, you just bite the bullet, come in, get that grill clean, try to save that engine, and then maybe you can get all this track position back later.
So Joey Logano, after that slide in turn number 4, has shuffled back to 28th position. But I like your view on that, Andy. He's lucky to have a race car in one piece.
His right rear tire might be a little worn.
That's Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88.
He gets in the left rear pretty hard. Right here's where Joey just does an incredible job.
And a lot of tracks you'll have banking that'll help you hold that car there when it gets out that far. See, Junior being pretty aggressive here. He's really not up there that far. I don't know if Joey surprised him back now. Look how sideways this race car is.
Oh, wow. So again, Logano has slipped back to 28th, Jamie.
And I talked to Joey just before he got in the car, and he said, we really don't know what we have. The car hasn't been handling great, and the speed hasn't been great, and that could have led to that incident. Now he's saying the car is so loose, he's dying to come in, but his crew chief said, no, you got to stay out until the first caution.
And what that slide probably did, too, is heat up that right rear tire some, which will make you even looser yet if you were loose to start with. Just added some air pressure there and built that up, and he's just going to have to hold on here for a while. You see him trying to make a move on Casey Mears.
It's so tight into these corners here.
Yeah, it really is. There's one groove that you want to be in. You can make that upper side work a little bit. We'll see more of it as the day goes on. They get some rubber up there, but it's basically everybody trying to go for that same piece of real estate.
And Martin Truex Jr. in that car right behind Logano, the blue and white machine. Remember, chipping his way up from starting at the back of the pack. Now, we saw Logano with the great save there a minute ago off turn 4. Prior to that, we had seen Kurt Busch get into the wall off of turn number 4. That 22 car for the moment is settled in 7th spot, Jamie.
And his car has been pretty good all weekend long, but after that incident, he came on the radio and said, we are tight from the center out now, and that is the first time I've felt that all weekend long.
Yeah, I would have to say that maybe that has more to do, that maybe push the right front fender in just a little bit, and maybe they'll try to work a little bit there. May have to compensate with a little chassis adjustment.
Kasey Kahne has led all the laps in the Brickyard 400 so far, but we're just 9 circuits into the race. Kasey Kahne leads the Brickyard 400 by 3.3 seconds over second place, but a change of positions right behind second place. Jeff Gordon is on the move.
I think that Chevy's driving like he wants it for sure. Jeff Gordon is on the move.
Driving like he wants to win with it?
Yeah, driving like he stole it. But he's been consistently the fastest car on this monitor for the last 5 to 6, 7 laps.
He's going to have second place here on David Reagan in just a minute. Vince, pretty good for the 24.
Well, and you know what's most interesting, just as we told you in the open, and DJ commented on it as well, that was their concern, was that the car would not be manageable in the early laps of the run. Alan Gustafson, the crew chief, said, that's my concern. If that is good, we're going to be real good today. I think you've seen it here in the early stages. They've got that part of it handled, at least on this first run.
And Alan's got to be smiling right now because what he sees, he's got to like this.
He was smiling this morning when I talked to him back in the garage area. They felt like, even though their practice times were maybe inconsistent, he thought they had a good piece for this race today, and it's proven it so far. The man who's dominated this race the last 2 years is that one, Juan Pablo Montoya, in the Ganassi Racing 42. Montoya dominant, but without a trophy to show for it. both last year and the year before. And there's that pass for second place.
He's got one more to pass. I don't think it'll be too much longer. He's got about 4 seconds till he gets to Casey Kane.
Yeah, at this point in the race, you can see both A.J. Allmendinger and David Reagan pretty much give Gordon that spot. And this is a time that you could learn. Is there something that this 4-time champion of this race and 4-time champion of the sport is doing that we can learn from and make our car better and our effort better throughout the day?
Talking about Montoya just for a second, started in the 7th position, has fallen back to 11th. Right behind him is Brad Keselowski in the 2, and Jamie, he started up in 5th.
Yes, he did. And he got on the radio and said to his boss man, Roger Penske, I know how much one of these would mean to you. I'll give it my best. It hasn't been a race-winning capable car just yet. He is so tight. He said he's trying to take care of the right front, and it's all he can do without free-falling back through the field. He's already lost 7 positions, Alan.
And the next car behind him is Greg Biffle, seeing if he can kick Brad Kay another spot back. DJ, when a driver says he's trying to take care of the right front, what's he actually doing inside the car?
Well, you're probably not driving it quite as far into the corner. You're wanting to stay off the brake as much, and then you're easing back into the throttle. Just try to keep the load off of that right front tire as much as you possibly can. And I always found if I had a tight race car that we needed to adjust out, that was going to help us with speed and it was going to make the car drive better. If it were the other way around, a looser race car, sometimes that's more difficult to adjust in and sometimes you lose speed. So hopefully they can get that 2-car worked on.
Little twitch and a bobble there for Greg Biffle entering 3. Right behind him, Paul Menard 27, Kevin Harvick 29. That's for 14th and 15th. This is the leader, Casey Kane, and here's the gap from Kane back to Jeff Gordon. So Kurt Busch, we continue to follow up on the story of this 22 getting into the wall in the opening couple of laps of the race.
He's got a good shot right there of his right side where you can see he made significant contact. It's right here, this is right off the corner. Man, yeah, pop that thing.
Yeah, anytime you get those right side tires in that gray or lighter area, then you're really taking a chance right there. And that looks like it's done a little more significant damage maybe behind that right side door, Andy, and that could possibly be the aero part that's making him even tight too.
Rusty, you've been watching this 22 car. What are you seeing?
Yeah, Alan, I'm really concerned about the 22 car Kurt Busch right now. I'm looking at his right front fender, and it's bent in quite a bit. And I know that creates a lot of downforce. And with this track being diamond ground and really abrasive on the tires early on, I'm a little bit concerned about that. But with more on that, let's go to the Craftsman Tech Garage with Tim Brewer and see what Tim's got to say.
Rusty, you're exactly right. We actually mold the shape of this fender right here. We're trying to affix all the air to it that we possibly can to make downforce, push the car to the ground. But when you damage and push this area in right here, you give up that downforce, and it has a tendency to make the car slide. Anytime the car slides, you wear out the right front tire. It's not a good situation. Those guys need to pull that fender out on his first pit stop. Guys?
All right, Tim, thanks. Caution-free so far in the early laps of the Brickyard 400. Casey Kane leads Jeff Gordon, David Reagan, A.J. Allmendinger, and Matt Kenseth. We're not all that far away from the first set of pit stops.
Dave, what do you got?
Talked to AJ before the race. He was pretty confident about his race car, and I just checked in with the crew. They said the only complaint he had was when he was behind other cars. That's what the drivers call aero tight. The engineers call it that too. So I don't anticipate any changes for him on this stop other than 4 fresh Goodyear tires full of Sunoco fuel. There will be a chassis adjustment. You see it happening on the back of the car there. So AJ Allmendinger, one of the first ones to come to pit road. You see Casey Kane coming down pit road now. He's led from the start of this race. Remember, in practice this weekend, they had a gear change. They thought there might be something really wrong. Once they got that replaced, they were one of the best cars on the track. Casey right now reporting that when he exits the corner, his car is just a little bit loose. He'll take on 4 tires, perhaps a wedge adjustment for the 4 car.
Others on pit road at the moment: David Reagan, Mark Martin, Jeff Burton, Montoya, Keselowski, Harvick, Boyer, McMurray, all kind of people here on pit road as we work the 26th lap of this race. Dave?
Pole sitter David Reagan had a trio of complaints for his race car. He said it was a little loose, a little bouncy in 3, a little forward bite lacking. So they're going to make some adjustments to that 6 car right now and send him back on his way.
There's Montoya. Jeff Gordon, the race leader, has not stopped yet. While this whole rash of cars, let's see, I don't think I mentioned Stewart, Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Bobby Labonte, Ryan Newman, all in that one rush to pit road. There's Reagan coming out, just even with the leader. Kurt Busch on pit road. See if they give that right front some attention, Jamie.
That's right, a little bit of damage up front. Made the car tight from the center out. They're going to take wedge out of the left side of that car. 4 tires. Kurt Busch trying to get the first win for Penske in the NASCAR Series here at Indianapolis.
A little attention.
Yeah, just at the last second, you saw the crew member pull the right front fender.
Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle, Casey Mears, Paul Menard, Joey Logano, Dale Jr., Marcus Ambrose, all making pit stops. And now here's Jeff Gordon on pit road from the lead, Vince.
Certainly one of the most impressive cars here in the early going. Jeff Gordon has been on the move, but he says the front end is a little bit too planted, and in traffic, it's a little loose off. So they're going to give him a round in the left rear, 4 Goodyear tires, and Sunoco fuel with a 4-time winner, Jeff Gordon.
Chad Cannell's telling his driver, Jimmy Johnson, you're the second fastest car out there behind Gordon. 4 tires, he's a little bit loose. Track bar, wedge adjustment for Jimmy Johnson.
So you see some of these who... So watching for Jeff Gordon, Casey Kane has already come by and gone. So the difference of a couple of laps on fresher tires, plus the gap that Kane had on Gordon before, is going to allow Casey to make it through this cycle of pit stops and hold the lead.
And that's why you saw everybody try to make that rush to pit road. They could run longer on fuel. Most of the cars could. We're seeing a penalty now on Tony Stewart coming back in.
Penalty is for, watch that orange cone.
Yeah, he kind of got forced out by Harvick.
And more contact on pit road. That's Jeff Burton, 31, Montoya, 42.
Yeah, and Jeff Burton, I think maybe lost a little bit of sense of where he was as far as in relationship to his pit. You normally won't stay out quite that wide, especially with someone right on your bumper.
Now there's the leader, Landon Castle, in the James Finch 51, has not yet pitted. When he does, it will turn the lead back over to Casey Kane, who will be in front of Jeff Gordon by some 7 seconds. He had a 4-second lead before the pit stops, then pitted a few laps earlier than Gordon did. And so as Kane comes to the stripe in the yard of bricks here, he's going to have almost an 8-second advantage on second place Jeff Gordon. First round of pit stops is done at the Brickyard 400. And today on a 90-degree day in Speedway, Indiana, it's the 18th running of the Brickyard 400. Live on ESPN, our telecast presented by Golden Corral. You're looking at the race leader, Casey Kane, in that Red Bull number 4. He has an 8-second lead on second place Jeff Gordon just after the opening cycle of green flag pit stops. Now, just in front of the race leader, 2 cars that had trouble in the opening go-round of pit stops. Tony Stewart, after the pass-through penalty, went from 15th all the way back to 33rd place, and the caution flag is out.
Huge break right there, who you were talking about, and Jeff Burton, who was just in front of the race leader.
There is debris on the racetrack, which has brought out the first.
I just saw the 21 car going by really slow down the front straightaway here. I don't know if he might have had a tire issue.
Well, first of all, the cone's on the racetrack, the commitment cone.
Yeah, that's the one Tony Stewart hit.
And there's a, looks like maybe a drink bottle, which is not a good thing in a race car at 190, 200 miles an hour.
Anything out there is a potential hazard.
So first yellow flag of this race, some 34 laps into the distance. Now everyone was just on pit road under the green, Andy.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of cars come in and change 4 tires though, because we've seen this tire fall off in speed quite a bit. So we'll see them, most of them come and get 4 tires. It is an opportunity though for some of the teams to maybe take 2 and steal some track position.
David Gilliland in that 34, the first car 1 lap down, so he is the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass recipient on this caution. Means he'll get to pass the pace car and come back around and rejoin the lead lap. So pace car gathering up the field and erasing what was an 8-second lead that Casey Kane had over Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, just like we talked about, Casey Kane made that stop a little earlier than the other cars, and he ended up gaining a lot just because that tire is so much faster and when it's new, and with those that had about 25 laps on it.
Now, Jeff Burton was the other car that got in trouble on that first round of pit stops. We showed you the caution between he and Juan Pablo Montoya, which created another problem.
Yeah, and actually Jeff Burton, I think, was almost by his pit when he got the contact from Montoya. It really knocked him by his pit. He had to go out and come all the way back around. So it was like a pass-through penalty and a big, big break with this caution.
Yeah, he's got a new crew chief, and typically it's the crew chief that calls those last few pit stops when they make that, that stop. So I think could have been just a little confusion there, just a little bit of jitters maybe to start with the crew chief.
Did I say Gordon instead of Burton there before?
No, I think you said.
Okay. No. Pit stops. Who's in, who's not? Looks like the top 2 stayed out, Kane and Gordon. Third place, Matt Kenseth is the first to make the move to pit road. This is going to shuffle up some track position a bit.
And this will be interesting when we see these cars restart.
You can see one car that started in the back there, Denny Hamlin, go by still on the racetrack. So he's going to use this to try to gain some track position.
I thought we heard Mike Ford say he wasn't going to try to do anything fancy to get track position.
2 tires on Matt Kenseth's car there.
So the running order is very much going to be shuffled up by this round of pit strategy here as we're under the first caution of this race. Where did that drink bottle come from?
Like Kyle Busch, he tried to throw it in the grass, but it came back out on the track.
He did, just didn't quite make it there.
Didn't make it.
The Brickyard 400 telecast presented by Golden Corral. First yellow flag is out. So you see the field doubled up behind the pace car, which means we're going racing when they get back to the front straightaway next time. Saw Tony Stewart bounce off that cone earlier. Well, you got to have it just in the right place.
Okay, it wasn't exactly where he wanted it. Okay, maybe that's where I want it.
And get out of the way.
Yeah,
because here they come.
In time. See, Jimmy Johnson's going to act like he's going to come in here. But stay out.
I'm surprised to see that many cars stay out. We'll see how it works. This tire falls off about a second after they run 5 or 6 laps. Dave?
Hey, guys. Carl Edwards has been radioing in that he's had some issues with the motor. Something doesn't feel right to him. Crew Chief Bob Osborne's been monitoring that. Bob, what do you think is going on?
Well, it's really hard to say right now. We're just watching the gauges, and he's keeping an eye on everything, and we'll play it by ear and see what happens. But we just got to go with what we got and hope for the best.
You told me earlier surging was a word you used, the feel that he has?
Yeah, that seems like a good description of what he's telling us. It's just surging down the straightaway.
Thanks, Bob. Alan, hopefully they can get that. Actually, if they don't have to figure it out, maybe it'll fix itself. Does that ever happen?
Yeah, it does sometimes.
Not usually.
This green flag restart presented by American Ethanol.
Green flag.
Oh, Mark Martin in the 5 car.
A little assist from the 42 of Montoya getting him loose there. Good save by Mark Martin, but he's going to lose a few spots here.
I say when he looked at his mirror and saw Montoya back there, he was probably ready for it.
become kind of a common theme, but see last year's winner, Jamie McMurray, up on the high side trying to go around. I believe that's Landon Castle in the 51.
Yeah, Landon stayed out under that last caution.
Yeah, let's, now that they've sorted this out a little bit in this opening lap, reset some of that strategy play. We just saw 10 cars did not pit under that yellow. Kane, Gordon, Johnson, Martin, Montoya, Hamlin, McMurray, Truex, Castle, and Jeff Burton. Matt Kenseth was the first who did pit onto the caution. He restarted in 11th.
Yeah, the one thing that you don't want to be is the car, the first car that everybody gets to that didn't get tires. Where you line up and you got everybody behind you on new tires, you're going to be the one that they pass first, and that's poor Landon Castle right now.
Yeah, you feel like there's 65 cars in this race by the time they all get by you there.
Spotter just keeps saying another one.
Yes.
Inside, another one.
For a while.
Matt Kenseth moving forward. A.J. Allmendinger as well. Jamie McMurray shuffled just a little bit.
I want to see just how fast Casey Kane can run. After they put tires on, they can run basically kind of a mid 51-second lap. And then after they run a while, they're back into like the mid 52s, high 52s. After they cool off, I was kind of interested to see just how fast it would run. And that lap, Casey Kane ran a 51.25, so the tire cools off and comes back pretty well.
And so, in your role as crew chief sitting on the box, you're watching this data, and it's helping you figure out which of those pages in that strategy playbook you're going to pull out at the end of the race.
That's exactly right. The teams have these programs on their pit boxes where they can, in real time, track the lap times of these cars and see just how much there is as far as fall off on the tire speed, and then they can make those decisions on what they do later. Look at this battle.
3 wide, maybe 4 before they get to turn 3 here. And they're really going to be paying attention because there's a lot of question whether 2 tires would work and how much it may make a difference. So there's a number of cars with no tires and with 2 tires, so we'll see what happens in this run.
See, Burton stayed out after that hiccup he had under that green flag stop. He stayed out that last time.
All of Richard Childress' cars, or 3 of the 4 of them, and Kevin Harvick right in the shot there, all running right together. Not exactly where Richard would like to see them running.
It's Ryan Newman 39, Regan Smith 78. And Kevin Harvick in the 29 around Kyle Busch.
I think all 4 RCR cars are lined up in order now.
By the way, Casey Mears has just come to pit road under the green flag.
David Rudman pulling out, trying to make a pass on Tony Stewart and Joey Logano. Joey's out in no man's land right there. Not a place you want to be.
Wow. You know, Logano started this race at the back of the field the last 2 years because of the 1 engine per weekend rule and some engine troubles they've had. He passed a lot of cars in both races. I think he's had a more adventurous day in the 43 laps we've run here so far.
Yeah, he almost got to the back of the pack earlier when he got hit by Dale Jr. and made a great save, but trying to move back forward now.
Bobby Labonte in the 47, not quite able to try and get that spot on Brian Vickers in the 83. That's pretty deep in the field there. That's 28th and 29th as they sort some things out after this restart.
We've watched this racing, you know, we always talk about how difficult a place it is to pass, but we've seen a lot of passing here in these first 42 laps.
Now Sprint brings you an inside look at the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Biggest mover in the race so far.
Denny Hamlin in that 11. He's passed a ton of them today.
35 of them so far. Started at the back of the field, and Hamlin is all the way up into decent position. He's in 5th right now, and part of that was strategy, but part of it was him driving up through. For more NASCAR stats, in-car audio, and live race radio, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile at sprint.com/speed. Jamie?
Well, Alan, exactly. With Denny Hamlin starting 40th, he was down and out after practice on Friday. A blown motor forced them to the back in a car that he told us was capable of winning. And he thought, this is Indianapolis. There is no way I can win this race from way back here. But like you said, strategy and a little bit of racing action. The car is good. He is now in contention, top 5.
Jamie, he drove from the back up to 22nd before making the strategy play in another unscheduled stop. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Vince.
The problem for Junior is the fact that he's got some debris on the grill. There you see him cleaning it off. the temperature had risen up to 300 degrees, so they put a little fuel in it, cleaned off the grill, and off goes Junior. He moved up to 11th position, was having a pretty decent run, Alan.
That's the third car, Vince, we've seen come down pit road for that, cleaning the grill. We saw Bobby Labonte and Trevor Bayne have to make green flag pit stops to clean the grill.
Casey Kane leading Jeff Gordon by 1 second. As we are just past the 1/4 mark of the Brickyard 400, telecast presented today by Golden Corral.
Back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Paul Menard currently leads the way for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award, but you do have a say in how this one works out. Vote from your AT&T phone by texting the car number to 234-567 for the pit crew you think is the fastest and most valuable. Right now, 48 laps complete. It has been all Casey Kane, has led from lap 1 to now. There he is, crossing the yard of bricks where he hopes to be on the very last lap of the day. Is Kane, Jeff Gordon, followed by Jimmy Johnson, Juan Pablo Montoya, and Denny Hamlin is in 5th. Let's get you caught up to speed right now with Nationwide Insurance, starting with the guy in 6th place. That's Matt Kenseth. Caution out on the track. Alan, let's go up to you.
Second one of the race. David Ruderman.
Whoa, he's hit that thing hard.
Another big break for a couple of drivers. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who was just in front, Casey Mears and Bobby Labonte, who all had to make unscheduled pit stops there.
David Ruderman running in 21st position when that happened.
I don't think there's no way you can fix it, but
And so this gives those guys that stayed out last time.
Yeah, this should kind of reset it. I mean, you think maybe a couple of them might try to stay out again or maybe get 2 tires, but the guys that didn't pit will definitely come.
Marcus Ambrose, first car a lap down, is the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass recipient on this caution. Ambrose running in 32nd position. Will come back around and rejoin the lead lap.
This worked out great for Denny Hamlin because he did get to steal a lot of that track position the last time. He's up to 6th place, and a lot of cars will be coming to pit road, so that's kind of a reset for him and a good break.
And then you get back to that whole thing of, okay, so the guys like Kane and Gordon and Johnson that didn't pit on the last caution, maybe looking for 4 tires here, but the guys who did stop on the last one maybe just getting 2.
Whoa, looks like a tire.
Yeah, definitely looked like a right front went down.
You can see that here and happen, but that would probably be an ill-handling car where the driver's having to use more brake, builds up that heat, and it melts the bead on the right front tire.
So Ruderman is going to have some problems.
Yeah, another driver that gets a big break here is Jeff Burton. You know, he had that hiccup on his first green flag stop, and now he stayed out. He'll get a lot of that track position back because he's 15th.
And I would be surprised, these drivers that took 2 tires on that last one, that's going to be putting a lot of laps. You could possibly get a lot of laps on those left side tires and be giving up something if you opt for 2 tires again. So this could be a situation that the field is kind of saying, okay, everybody's going to kind of get 4. We won't lose too much.
Decisions.
Yes.
And one thing that kind of makes that decision is how many cans of gas are you going to need here? And the cars that didn't pit will definitely need more than 1 can, so they might as well get 4 tires.
And if some of the guys in the back need to spend less time by taking 2 tires than the guys in the front, this pit road really gets narrow at its turn 1 end. Watch for some possible bent fenders if we get that kind of a strategy session here on this pit stop. Here they are, Vince.
For Jeff Gordon, he says if you snug this thing up just a little bit, we're going to be flying. So what they're going to do is snug it up just a little bit. 4 tires are going to go down on the track bar 1 round. Jamie Little?
Jimmy Johnson had a vibration early on. You see our quad split pit road right there. Jimmy Johnson lower left. 4 tires is the call, telling him to drink fluids. Let's go to Dave.
And Casey Kane in the 4 car, the leader. He will get 4 tires, no adjustments to that race car. The 42 of Juan Pablo Montoya, it was tight.
Look for the contact here. Wow. So the running order there is going to get shuffled up on pit road. We'll reset it and restart it when we come back to Indianapolis. All right, some pit strategy on this one, and the guy who'd been leading most of the race lost some track position, Dave.
And it was a problem on the left front. Kenny Francis is a crew chief. Understand dropped a lug nut, putting a tire on?
Yeah, I didn't really see it. I was watching down pit road, watching for cars coming, so we didn't pull out into them or something. But looked like a lug nut problem on the left front. Not really sure exactly what happened yet.
How good's your car in traffic?
I don't know. We hadn't seen it yet, so it's hard for everybody in traffic. I think we got to go behind like the 31 one time and 47 there, and it was pretty hard to pass them. So we'll have to see. Hopefully it'll be good enough to go.
Thank you, Vince.
With Alan Gustafson, the crew chief for Jeff Gordon, you told me earlier in the day the car at the beginning of the run was going to be the key. How much better is it than what you had earlier in the weekend?
Well, I mean, the drive-in Hunger Chevy's good. We were a little bit better in traffic than we were in clean air. So we just got to get him tightened up for clean air. It's kind of the dance you do here. You've got to balance that out. So if we can maintain track position, get him tightened up, I think we've got a good shot. It's a long race, man. It's a long way to go. Jeff's doing great. Guys are doing awesome on the pit stop. So real proud of everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. New car. It's a great car and really good power, Chevy power. So long way to go, but we feel pretty good.
So far, so good for the 24, Alan.
Okay, Vince, Sheet of Field doubled up on the restart. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the green and white car did not pit under the yellow flag, and he is going to be the leader with David Reagan on his outside, who got just right side tires. Now, Tony Stewart had a forever pit stop under this yellow. Doc?
A lot of time on pit road for Smoke here. The car was too tight, so they took a packer out of the right front. But also Tony had bounced it off the wall about 4 laps ago. They took time to roll all the fenders, make sure they had no rubbing on any of the fenders, made a major chassis adjustment, air pressure. And as Darian Grubb said, what else is going to happen to us today? We already had a pass-through for hitting the commitment cone. So now Tony restarting back in 28th spot.
All right, Doc, thanks. Pace car will head off here. It'll be Earnhardt Jr. inside of Reagan. Kyle Busch and Jeff Gordon side by side in row number 2. And behind them, Jimmy Johnson doubled up with Matt Kenseth as they come to the green flag for the restart and crank it back up into turn number 1. Get him fan out back there off of turn 2.
Well, these restarts are always some of the most exciting we see. See Junior get a nice jump and good run out of there. Saw a little smoke out of the left front of Kyle Busch. Could just be some air pressure deal, or maybe has a fender bend in a little bit on the tire.
As competitive as the field is, these first few laps after a restart, when the field is doubled up, there's a real desperation to get everything you can get in those first couple laps.
Yeah, talking to these drivers, they know that's what they have to do. We see right here, Mark Martin trying to make a pass on A.J. Allmendinger. Can't quite get down in there. Greg Biffle just looking for somewhere to go. His teammate Carl Edwards on the outside, but they're just trying to get everything they can because they know that the passing becomes increasingly more difficult as they get laps on the tires.
Biffle sliding up in front of Edwards. That'll be 13th place for the Biff. And Clint Boyer we ride with on the move.
See these drivers trying everything that they can. Carl Edwards getting over, trying to do a little side drafting on the 33 to hold him back. Clint Boyer able to make that pass.
You have to wonder if maybe that engine surge is not hurting Carl Edwards right now, especially when they have new tires on. If you down a little power, that's where it'll show up the most, is when you have new tires.
It sounds like something that Leonard Wood used to describe me when I drove for the Wood brothers as a fish bite. And it just acts like it pulls a little bit. If you've ever been fishing, you get a little bit of a bite. It just pulls. You can't get everything. See Tony Stewart taking some chances there early on, but he needs to make up some spots.
Jimmy Johnson by Kyle Busch to pick up a spot. Kyle changing just right side tires on the pit stop. Some of the guys that are passing him here took 4. Jeff Gordon has gotten by him since the restart. Johnson being pushed by Matt Kenseth toward turn 3, Doc.
And keeping an eye on that left front tire for Kyle Busch. DJ, you mentioned you saw a puff of smoke a moment ago. Coming off a pit road a moment ago, contact between Kyle Busch and Paul Menard. They're watching that left front fender. They thought it was okay when he came in, but right now they're watching for more rub and smoke on the 18 car.
And Paul Menard had to make another pit stop under that caution. He's now 27th. He had some damage from that contact as well.
And we got the report on Casey Kane, the man who's led the most laps so far today in that 4 car, trying to pick his way back forward after the lost track position.
Yeah, he has no idea what his car will do in traffic. He's been clear of everybody these first 50-some laps.
Looks like it's pretty good in traffic, though. I can't believe just how good Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car is with as many laps as he has on tires. That track position, that clean air, worth a lot.
Jeff Gordon up to second by David Reagan in the 6.
Now, what a story. Jeff Gordon trying to become the all-time leading winner here. So I guess he would tie Michael Schumacher with 5 victories of the major series, but still just incredible what he's been able to accomplish at this race.
You're talking about Dale Earnhardt Jr. and hanging on to that lead with a pretty good gap, Vince.
Well, remember we talked before the race about how Steve Letard's philosophy was, let's take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves, and that's exactly what they've done by not pitting when everyone else pitted on that previous stop. And here was the conversation between Dale Jr. and Letard.
You think you would be okay if you stayed out, right? You know better than I do. I'm a master, I'm afloat. I mean, that wasn't bad. That right there, you were running the same speed as the leader. I would need to stay out if you want to get that track position back. Yeah, me and you are on the same plan, buddy.
Despite going from 3rd to 9th in points the past 4 races, Junior says there's no additional urgency this week. When you get urgent, you get panicky, and then you make mistakes. Jeff Gordon knocking on the door of Dale Jr., but Dale Jr. in the lead, and the fans at the Brickyard love it.
Yeah, I don't think for long, though, as Gordon is closing in quick. Here's Jimmy Johnson closing on David Reagan for 3rd as well.
Yeah, that might be a pass where there's just as many standing up cheering at this racetrack. Normally they love Dale Jr. and they're locking him out front here, but Jeff Gordon has a lot of fans here today.
And Junior's going to concede the inevitable, it looks like.
Yeah. And I don't mean that Jeff Gordon doesn't have a lot of fans everywhere. Obviously very popular, but that's that thing out front. That looks like maybe the best car here today.
You got red states, you got blue states. Well, you got Gordon tracks and you got Earnhardt tracks, and they don't necessarily mix well all the time. The Brickyard 400 telecast presented by Golden Corral. Jeff Gordon is the leader. Jeff Gordon leading at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Don't forget to play the DirecTV head-to-head knockout. Go to ESPN.com, search DirecTV, and fill out your brackets today for a chance to win $1 million. Just past, well, we're a good bit past the 3rd mark, closing in on the halfway mark of this 18th Brickyard 400. Jeff Gordon is the leader. Nationwide Insurance takes you up to speed. Check in on how some of the front runners are faring. Vince?
I think there was a lot of anticipation when Jeff Gordon was paired up with crew chief Alan Gustafson when Hendrick rearranged its lineup at the end of last season, and it has not been a disappointment at all. Gordon has already won twice this season, and Gustafson told me this morning in relation to Jeff Gordon, he's as good as advertised, and they've certainly been that good today. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 car. A lot of the fans have been excited about seeing him run up front again. He's really struggled over the last few weeks, and in fact has just 2 top 10s here at the Brickyard in 11 starts. But he's had a better car than the finish has always indicated. Today, they want to make sure they get the good finish. Jamie Little?
Vince, by the way they're running, it's hard to believe 1 year ago Hendrick didn't have one single car finish in the top 10. When it comes to the 48 and Jimmy Johnson, it has been feast or famine. The last 7 races, he's won 3 times, but he's finished 22nd or worse the other 4. Today, he told us at the start of the show, today will be a feast. The car's a little bit loose, but it's good. Dave.
Jamie, Matt Kenseth started the weekend as the fastest car in first practice, but crew chief Jim McFettig told me it's been a struggle for them. Matt didn't really even like the car on that lap. He started 9th, and on this last pit stop, he took 4 tires, if anything, slightly tight. A very good race car today for the 2-time winner so far in 2011. Behind him in the fifth place will be the 4 car of Casey Kane. This is the car that crew chief Kenny Francis didn't know if he would be able to run through traffic. He restarted 7th. He's up to the 5th place now. That means he can, and I think that's pretty good for this guy who's had the field behind him most of the day, Alan.
The man who started with the field behind him, David Reagan, on pole today in that 6th car. He is running in 6th position now. You'll see on the side of that car, it says Gentleman Ned. Gentleman Ned is Ned Jarrett, and Ned's going to join us to talk about this car and his induction into the NASCAR Hall of Fame when we come back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's the Brickyard 400 from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. ESPN's live coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series beginning today and running right through the final checkered flag of the season in mid-November down at Homestead Miami Speedway. Jeff Gordon in pursuit of a 5th win in this race, out in front. New second-place runner Jimmy Johnson by Dale Earnhardt Jr., who now runs 3rd. Matt Kenseth is 4th. Casey Kane is 5th. That number 6 car that David Reagan drives, the UPS Ford for Roush Fenway Racing, normally looks a little different than it does right there. But in honor of the selection to the NASCAR Hall of Fame of 2-time champion gentleman Ned Jarrett, the UPS folks decided to paint that 6 car up like the car that Ned won the 1965 championship with. That blue paint scheme and the white wheels. Looks pretty nice. Was fast enough to win the pole, and again running well today. And the man who is being honored has joined us in the pagoda in our ESPN broadcast booth. Gentleman Ned Jarrett. Ned, great to see you. It must be a hoot for you to see that car.
Oh, it is. It's such an honor for the honor this weekend for the Hall of Fame induction back in May, and have the car painted my colors and the white wheels and all of those things, and then to come here and win the pole. That was a lot more than I expected.
Now, we've all been talking and laughing about the white wheels. I guess you're in on that act too, right? It's the white wheels that make it go fast?
Oh, no question about it.
Absolutely, because qualifying, they hadn't run them in practice. They put them on for qualifying to see what happened.
That's right, and then they took them off after the first pit stop.
Well, maybe they need to put them back on.
Yeah. They said if they fell back in the race, they might get them some white paint and paint the other wheels.
There you go. This racetrack is so difficult. You've obviously covered as a broadcaster for many years these races. What are you seeing?
Well, it hasn't changed as far as being difficult to pass. Yeah, it's difficult to pass. You see Jamie Murray look like coming into the pits. Is this a scheduled pit stop? I've got a little behind here.
Yeah, it's a little early. Hey, that's an unfair question for me to ask you, huh? You've been running around doing the VIP Grand Marshal duties, huh?
Yes.
How about the 1 car, Dave? Early or scheduled?
Alan, his car was too loose in the last pit stop. They tightened it up way too tight. He'd lost 10 positions on the racetrack since the restart, so they made a track bar adjustment and changed 2 tires.
That's probably a good move, because we saw David Ruderman, that crashed earlier because his car maybe had been a little too tight, maybe abused that right front. If it's way too tight, it's good to just get it off of there and just bite the bullet.
So you see McMurray cycling back out after that early pit stop, and he needs this thing to stay green until it comes back around. DJ, you stand here next to your dad, and you get to talk about a lot of things. Obviously, he was a great mentor to you in your career. Now, as you think about his selection to the NASCAR Hall of Fame, what do you think? Because I know he's not going to brag on it.
Yeah, well, I was first off trying to be quiet. I didn't know if there are any regulations to Jarrett's being on the air at the same time or not and speaking too much. So we wanted to hear from him. I talk too much as it is, but it has been quite an honor. It's been a great year for our family, and watching our dad being honored into this 2nd class of the Hall of Fame. So we're obviously very proud of his accomplishments and all he's been able to do, and his continued support of NASCAR. That's what my dad has basically lived his life, whether it was driver or as a broadcaster or working for Coca-Cola or UPS, whoever it was, but just continued that. So we're very proud to have him and being honored this weekend. As we see Brad Keselowski in the pits, Jamie.
Extremely tight was the call for Brad Keselowski. He said he's pushing on exit. He said, we need to get to the front. Old tires or not, they decided to bring it on down to get 4 fresh new ones.
All right, so seeing some early pit stops here for the 1 car and the 2 car. Is the 4 car next? Just curious, that's all. Just curious.
If we're going in numerical order, I guess that would be the next one.
Yeah, there's Casey Kane, who is running in the 5th position. By the way, Keselowski was 23rd before his pit stop. McMurray was 29th. McMurray's now 32nd, and Keselowski still cycling back in after coming off the pit lane.
I will post something to my dad here just a second as we watch the action take place, though. But he was asked the other day, and something I always thought rather amusing, but we talk about a Hall of Fame career, 50 victories, 2 championships. And when I won I think it was the 2nd Brickyard 400 here in '99, Dad, we were asked the question. I think I won a little over $700,000, which is astonishing. But let them know what you said when you were asked about how that compared to your career.
I told him, well, I didn't want to boast, but I won 2 championships and won 50 races. And that day, when he won his second Brickyard 400, he won a little over twice as much as I did during that whole career.
In the entire time.
Yeah,
Wow.
changed a lot. And thank goodness for it.
Ned, the sport, Dale was talking about supporting the sport. You've had so many different roles, from a competitor and a champion to a track operator of a short track, Hickory Speedway in North Carolina, to a broadcaster and one of those who brought this sport to national prominence on television. What gives you the most pride?
Well, I've truly been blessed, Alan, as far as opportunities in the sport. And I think when I started broadcasting, it became a bigger challenge to me than driving the race car, having grown up on the farm and working at a sawmill, and then one day to be able to work for national television, including ESPN. That was very, very special to me. And to see it from its very humble beginning in this sport to what it has become today, what you folks are able to do.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. pits from 3rd place, Vince.
That's right. He just says that they're beating him on the straightaways. He doesn't feel like he has the straightaway speed that he needs. They're going to make a 4-tire change and an air pressure adjustment for Dale Earnhardt Jr. But when you consider where he's come from, it's been a good day today for the 88.
And again, Andy, he needs this whole thing to cycle through a round of green flag stops.
Oh, if this thing cycles all the way through green flag stops, this is going to be a huge win for Dale Earnhardt Jr. because I never thought that he could stay as far up as he did during that run.
You see Junior, you see the leader Jeff Gordon coming down the front straightaway on the left side of the screen. The top 5 as our ESPN telecast of the Brickyard 400 is presented by Golden Corral. We'll continue in a minute. Back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway at the halfway point of the Brickyard 400 for 2011. A rash of pit stops under the green flag. Only one of the lead cars, Casey Kane, pitted under this group that's just exiting the pit road. But Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth still out on the racetrack in the top 3 spots. There's Kane rejoining just behind the leader Gordon.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised these guys have stayed out, these front runners that you just mentioned, have stayed out as long as they have after knowing how much time they lost to Casey Kane in that first pit stop, Andy.
Yeah, they did. They lost a lot of ground on that first round of green flag stops, and now here they are staying out again. Jamie?
And Denny Hamlin, who's had a pretty good day, I'm sure he's feeling the same way, being that he started back in 40th. The call for him, he's a little bit tight. 4 fresh tires, fill it up with Sunoco fuel, track bar adjustment, clean stop, down and away, Doc.
Tony Stewart, track bar adjustment, wedge adjustment, air pressure adjustment, trying to get it full of fuel. He said, give me some help with the front of the car. I am so tight. Vince.
The 24 of Jeff Gordon is coming in, and you see it's a right side now coming over to the left side. A 4-tire change, 2 cans of Sunoco fuel. They've been happy with the car, but they do want it in the back end a little bit more to stick to the track, so they gave him a chassis adjustment.
Matt Kenseth pitting. Jimmy Johnson, the leader, has not yet stopped. There's Kenseth, Dave.
And Matt Kenseth's crew going to work on the 17 car. 4-tire change for him. Doesn't look like they're going to make any adjustments to the car at this point. Just air pressure right now for Matt. And a little track bar adjustment has already been made to Matt.
And Jimmy Johnson in after leading a lap, staying out to collect the bonus point for leading a lap during the race that counts toward the championship. Something flapping there from that left side of the 48 car. Here he comes, Jamie.
And trying out a new front changer for the 3rd time this year, Dave Collins is on loan from the 14 team. Jimmy's saying, we're getting there, but we're still loose. I'm hanging in. They made an air pressure adjustment before they went over the wall. The jack is on the left side. 4 tires, fill it up. Very minimal change. Oh, last minute change. You saw the wrench in the back window on the left side for Jimmy Johnson.
Looks like maybe just a piece of tape or something there. It's kind of flapping around.
Piece of the skirt, piece of tape over the skirt.
So here's the leader now, Paul Menard. Remember we talked about under that last caution, he had to make an extra pit stop.
So he's got a little bit more fuel, and see how much that longer that allows him to stay out here.
Hard to steal in track position right now by staying out because most cars have pitted. There's still 32 cars on the league lap, so if the caution did come out now, he would have to go behind them. So probably a good move to get on in now. Here he comes.
And with those guys out there on fresher tires, they're eating into whatever advantage you might be trying to gain by staying out. Menard's family has a long history at this racetrack. He says it is the most important race of the year to him. Here he comes for pit stop. Jamie?
Absolutely. His dad is big in Indianapolis, and for the 500, 4 tires is the call for Paul Menard, who started 15th, the best start he's had here in 4 attempts. Paul's car pretty good. They're hoping this comes down to a fuel mileage race. You see the wrench in the back left window there. They're getting great fuel mileage, about 33 miles to the gallon. 13.8, great stop for Paul Menard.
And he'll cycle back into full speed racing and see where that stop ends up placing him in the running order.
A big piece of debris on the nose of Juan Pablo Montoya here. We'll see how much of the opening it's covering.
Give up the spot.
And what they're saying, give up the spot. They're going to need to get behind the car that's behind them, let them catch up. See, just blowing around right here, going down the straightaway. If he can get up behind a car, he can probably get it off of there and keep that thing from running hot more than what it already is, Tim.
Tell you what, there's a situation to where the driver plays a very important part, because when he pulls up behind that other guy, he's got to cut the radiator fan off. The fan sets behind is electric, and when he cuts that off, that paper comes right off. Guys?
Championship crew chief Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech garage. Juan Pablo Montoya running in 6th position. And what the team's trying to get him to do is drive back behind David Reagan in that Gentleman Ned car and see if he can get that trash off the grill. Sunny 90-degree day for the fans here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 18th running of the Brickyard 400. Jeff Gordon is leading Jimmy Johnson by 1.5 seconds, with Dale Earnhardt Jr. making it a Hendrick Motorsports hold on the top 3 positions at this moment in the race. Still got 72 laps to go, though, just past the midway point of the event, and there's the gap from 1st back to 2nd. Gordon had a lead of 3.3 seconds before the stops. It's 1.5 now, so Johnson chipping a couple of seconds off on that exchange of stops. As we went to the break, we were seeing Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42 car with some trash on the grill and some concerns about the temperatures elevating. That trash is no longer there.
Yeah, you can see that David Reagan was that car that was right behind Montoya. See, he backed out of the throttle, immediately left.
If you need to give up that spot, I'll give it up to get that tape off of there. Get that paper off, bud. Give up the spot.
He did, and they did.
Yeah, it's better to give up one spot to get it off than have to make that pit stop and take it off.
I wonder if that blew out. Maybe somebody else might pick it up, but haven't seen any signs of it yet.
Not yet.
Ned Jarrett with us here in the Pagoda in our broadcast booth at this Brickyard 400. Dave, what's 42 team saying now?
Well, Alan, it was really important they get that trash off, because when they pitted on lap 79, took on 4 tires, his car wouldn't turn in the corner. So guess what they did? No chassis adjustments. They put tape on the front grille. I don't even know if you can see the piece of tape they put on, but so it was already covered more than it was before that. So when they got the bag on the grill, double trouble.
Yeah, another thing that they want to do is they need to keep that engine cool to make power. I talked to Richie Gilmore. He's over that part of the engine department that builds engines for this car. He says that if you get that thing over 220 degrees, for every 10 degrees that you get over that, it'll lose about 1.5 to 2 horsepower per 10 degrees. So they want to keep that thing as cool as possible.
Ned Jarrett with us, watching the car that's honoring him and his induction into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. David Reagan running in 6th position. Had you ever spent much time with David prior to this venture coming together?
Not a great deal, but I'll tell you, every day I became more impressed with him. He's such a fine young man, comes from a good racing family. His dad, of course, was a racer, and his grandfather was a racer. And he handles himself so well for NASCAR and for UPS and everybody he's associated with. And by golly, he's turning in to be a good race driver, too.
Got that first win back on July 2nd at Daytona in the 400 there, and picked up, of course, the pole for this race in qualifying here yesterday. You still do a lot of speaking and a lot of appearances for some sponsors, UPS and Coca-Cola and a couple of others. When fans talk to you, what's the thing they talk to you about the most?
You know, the first thing that comes up, Alan, in every conversation as we travel around the country since that 1993 Daytona 500, and Dale, of course, passed Dale Earnhardt on the last lap to win it, and I was in the booth, and they allowed me to call him home, be a daddy instead of being a broadcaster. But that's the thing that people talk about more than anything else. Now, I've had an opportunity here this week to visit a lot of different fan groups, and they talk about the competition today, ask my opinion, and hey, the competition's the best in my opinion it's ever been. When, you know, we've already had 13 winners so far this year, and there are a good 10 or 12 other teams and drivers that are capable of winning that haven't gotten there yet, so that's strong. You have that many teams in the field and drivers who can win a race on any given Sunday. You know, sometimes one driver might get hooked up like Gordon is here today and pull away a little bit, but racing is really good today.
Watching Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch here race for 15th and 16th positions.
Yeah, I don't think this is the positions on the track that either one of these drivers expected. Both of these drivers were very confident in their chances today of trying to win this race. And we saw Kurt Busch on the very first lap of the race contact the wall off turn 4. I think that hurt him some, but he's really working the back bumper of Harvick right now.
Yeah, I talked to Kurt Busch at the driver introduction, and he really felt good about his chances here. He thought he had a really good car, but like I say, brushing that wall don't take much now at these speeds they run.
It's a fine line between success and not. The yellow flag is out.
A lot of drivers glad to kind of see that for a number of reasons, to work on their car again. And tell you what, it's a hot day out there. We've seen some drivers with their hands out the window trying to get a little fresh air in those cockpits.
Caution for debris on the racetrack. And the yellow coming out here for the third time in this race. And whatever that debris was, Kevin Harvick just ran it over.
Exactly what they were going to try to keep from happening at speed, but
watching the 42 car on this replay.
I've been seeing something on the left front of that 42. I don't know if it's part of the wrap or part of the nose, but he's made some contact a couple times with that nose, and some of that just came off.
So debris yellow, something coming off Juan Pablo Montoya's car is going to bunch the field up behind the pace car and set up probably another round of pit strategy here.
It's been just not too many laps since they made that green flag stop.
We've seen that track position being kind of the key thing here today out front. I'd have to say that we'll see these top at least 8, maybe 10 cars only take on 2 tires, and
we're about halfway through a tire cycle run or a fuel cycle run. So you'll probably see a mixture of strategies.
Third car behind the pace car there, that white 32, that's Mike Bliss. He's going to get the free pass as the first car not on the lead lap. He's actually 2 laps down there, so it's going to get him one of those 2 laps back for the Fast Lane Racing car owned by Frank Stoddard.
And looking back quickly, back at 31st, Trevor Bain had taken the wave around that time before, and he stayed on the lead lap, so it's worked out for him.
Leaders all coming to pit road, Vince.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. having a good run today, just what he needs. Running in third place as they enter pit road, looking for right sides only and fuel for the 88 of Dale Jr. Now for Jeff Gordon, also right sides only. They're going to go back up the half round on that track bar. He's got a little bit too tight in traffic. Jamie?
Jack Nels told Jimmy Johnson last time he was too close to the pit wall. He hit his marks perfectly this time. 4 tires, track bar adjustment. He's still a little loose, Dave.
All right, Casey Kane, 2 tires already gone. Loose race car, 2 tires should tighten that up with no adjustments. Look at the race off, Alan.
Matt Kenseth is going to come out with the lead.
83 and hit a guy.
See Casey Kane getting out in front of Gordon.
That was Jimmy Johnson on that radio a minute ago. And there was a big bottleneck back on pit road.
Yeah, and he took 4 tires. He's not even in the top 10 coming off the pit road.
So the field shuffling up on a round of pit strategy under this caution. Kyle Busch still on the pit lane getting repairs made to the right front corner of his car. Contact exiting his pit box, and then he backed up, and they went to work to fix that right front. Gentlemen, Ned, I know you got a lot of duties today. Thanks for stopping by and sharing some of the day with us.
Well, thank you. It's been an honor to be here with you today.
It's been an honor to work with you over the years from time to time. Ned Jarrett, Grand Marshal for today's Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll come back for the restart in a minute. Today it's the Brickyard 400 from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our telecast presented by Golden Corral, and this field has been shuffled around on this set of pit stops. Jimmy Johnson was the first on pit road, or first off of pit road to get 4 tires on the stop. He's back in 13th place. It was not without some other highlights as well.
It's such a narrow pit road. You can see it gets right in the side of Brian Vickers.
Jamie, what are they saying in the 48 pit?
Well, Chad Canals watching our coverage right now, the replay there on what happened to the right front. Jimmy, I know you guys had the 5 team take a look at it. I know you're seeing it there. Any concern at this point?
There's always concern for sure, but I think from what we've seen, I think it's okay right now. Hopefully it'll make it to the next pit stop. We made a mistake right there and took 4 tires. We probably should have taken 2, but you know, Jimmy's doing a good job out there. The picker's doing a good job, and we'll just see where we end up.
Car's fast. The driver's doing all right. They just have to keep their eye on that damage. And hey, guys, Chad also told his driver, hey, this could help our loose condition.
Paul Menard did not pit. He is the leader with Matt Kenseth alongside him as they come to the restart, and we get ready to hit the Eyes On Speed Zone. Paul Menard has cleared Matt Kenseth and gotten into the lead. We saw some people kicking up some more of that grass down in turns 1 and 2. And we're watching Jimmy Johnson and Brian Vickers and seeing who's the one throwing up that smoke.
Yeah, you see some smoke. See right there, A.J. Allmendinger trying to make a move on Denny Hamlin. We saw some smoke on that restart. I thought it may be Jimmy, but it looked like it was the left side, maybe the left front of Brian Vickers. You can see it right there.
And that's where that contact happened with he and Jimmy Johnson on pit road. So it looked like Jimmy Johnson may be going to have a problem as we saw the last shot of that right front of his.
On board Dale Jr. Whoa, Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson. Nice save by Jimmy.
We saw a lot of give and take early on in this race, but we've got getting down to the point. There's only 60 laps to go now. A lot less of that going to happen. More taking.
Clint Boyer all the way down to the inside in that Cheerios car, being pushed down the front straightaway by Ryan Newman in that 39. I know we talked about this earlier, but the intensity after these restarts today. Wow.
Yeah, and as these laps wind down, it's only going to ramp up more and more.
Casey Kane getting another spot from Denny Hamlin.
That'll put him up to 6th place. Kane led the opening segment of this race, kind of dominated the early laps, then got shuffled back by a pit stop that was slower than they needed it to be, and he hasn't been back to the front yet.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin's had a nice recovery from having to start in the rear, but I think they really believed that they had a better car than this once they got themselves situated up into the top 10.
we've seen every car that can start up front really having, way better lap times. You see Paul Menard leading this race, running in the 51-second bracket. That clean air just worth so much, especially at this track.
I'm sorry, I was just going to remind us all that Menard didn't pit under that last caution. Matt Kenseth got 2 tires on the caution.
Yeah, and his pit crew did a fantastic job, as they normally do, getting Matt in and out of the pits and getting him good track position. Now we're seeing what his car will do up front.
Briefly touched on the story before of Menard and his family's long history here. Of course, the business of Menard's home improvement stores based in the Midwest, and Menard's family been involved in the Indianapolis 500 for so many years. Paul said he kind of feels like he grew up at this racetrack.
See, as he exited turn 2 there, went through 2, see just how hard you had to work. You get a little bit of a break here, long back straightaway, but now things start getting busy over 200 miles per hour into turn 3.
You would think as much as the cars get spread out that you would say, well, you've got clean air even if you're not the leader, but it's just not the same as being actually up in the lead of the race.
Yeah, Menard keeps leaving just a little bit of room there for Matt Kenseth to get a little air to that front end. That's probably going to allow Matt to make that pass here shortly. Dave, what are they saying about Matt's car?
Well, they're saying they'd like to see it out front of the 27 car right now for sure. It wasn't turning as well as Matt wanted it to. 2 tires on the last stop, a little air pressure adjustment on the right front. When I talked to Jimmy Fennick this morning, he said, at the beginning of the year when we had our 2 wins, we were a lot more dominant over the field. We feel like the field really caught up to us, and he says, we think we're coming back. I said, how close are you to presenting some new stuff? And he goes, about chase time. I think that's a time when you want to be at your best in this series.
Absolutely. So a couple of Wisconsin guys at the front of the pack in the Brickyard 400 in Indianapolis. Eau Claire's Paul Menard, leading Cambridge's Matt Kenseth. Our telecast today presented by Golden Corral. At the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, there's a new leader in the Brickyard 400. Telecast today presented by Golden Corral. It's Matt Kenseth in the 17. Jeff Gordon in the 24 has followed him through. The man who was leading when we went to the break, Paul Menard, has been shuffled back to 4th position. Here's how it happened.
We talked about Paul Menard leaving a little opening there where Matt Kenseth made a little bit of room, got into the left rear quarter.
Right here, Paul's trying to get to the bottom of the racetrack, and he gets shoved up out of the groove completely. Has to go down to 3rd gear to get back going.
And so again has been shuffled back to 4th position. Juan Pablo Montoya is up to 3rd and has also gotten around Menard.
It's been a new strategy for Montoya. He's dominated the last 2 races and doesn't have anything to show for it, so maybe he decided to sit back and surprise these guys.
He's just stalking these leaders right now.
Lead the lap that counts the most?
Yeah, well, the only one that pays. Pays the most.
There he is, that bright red Montoya car in 3rd position. Dale Earnhardt Jr. running 10th. Remember, we saw the contact on pit road from Jimmy Johnson and Brian Vickers on the last stop. Johnson went from 2nd to 13th on the pit stop by getting 4 tires and getting bottled up in some of the traffic. You see he's running in the 11th spot right now, Jamie.
Well, as I said, Chad Knaus told him, well, maybe this little bit of damage on the right front will help our loose condition, and it has. Jimmy Johnson says he's getting just a little bit tighter. Car is still great.
All right, Jamie, thanks. You know, these guys that have taken 4 tires now, Andy, spinning forward toward the later stages of the race, are they setting up for anything in particular that maybe some of the guys that just took 2 won't be able to take advantage of?
Well, definitely, like Jimmy Johnson will have better left side so he can get 2 tires. If this thing goes completely to the end without a caution, though, you're going to see a green flag stop where they'll need 2 cans of fuel. They'll be out of fuel. They'll have to change 4 tires because they're going to be there long enough to do that. Not quite time to say, okay, we've got a fuel mileage run coming to the end because if they do that, they're just, like I said, they're going to have to run 2 full tanks of fuel out of it. But there is definitely one more stop to go.
They pitted with 65 laps to go with the fuel we've been seeing today.
So I say it puts you right there, but you know, I feel like a lot of teams can make it farther than what we've seen so far. We've seen a lot of cars pitting, and you know, we'll see one car pit and then a bunch of cars come in to kind of short pit with them. Don't want to give up any of that, you know, time that you can gain on new tires.
Yeah, this is a perfect example that we've seen here. Jimmy Johnson was running Jeff Gordon down before that last caution came out. They decided to put those 4 tires on. He's mired back here and really can't move forward, and we've seen this in years past just as we have here today.
So Earnhardt Jr. and Johnson racing still for 10th and 11th positions. They're 7.8 seconds behind leader Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, what makes the crew chief want to put 4 tires on? You know, gosh, look at Jimmy get that car sideways. It's just that there's so much speed to be gained if you're just out there by yourself by putting new tires on. You think, well, if I put 4 on, we're going to be able to drive through there, but you just can't do it. I mean, you can see right now, still can't get by Junior.
And again, the trend this season overall has been for fewer cautions.
Man, look at that. Gosh, Jimmy's out of control right there. He wrecked that thing 3 times.
And just didn't hit anything.
He missed some good opportunities.
Kevin
Take
Harvick.
a deep breath, bud. I know. A little frustrating up there.
Earl Barbin, the spotter, talking to Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy just trying to make something happen here. Whoa. Okay, there's one. There's another.
But he didn't get the 3rd strike, and he's not out. Up ahead, it is Matt Kenseth leading Jeff Gordon by 0.2 of a second. Juan Pablo Montoya is 4 seconds back in 3rd position. Now Sprint brings you an inside look at the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. The driver who has led the most laps today so far is Casey Kane in that 4 car. He's been out in front for 48 circuits today, while Jeff Gordon has led 35. Speaking of 48, there are 48 laps to go. For more NASCAR stats, in-car audio, and live race radio, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile at sprint.com/speed. Roush Fenway Racing has never won the Brickyard 400. Hold that thought. Caution flag is out. It's going to be for the 4th time in this race. There is 1 car into the wall off of turn 2, and it looks like it was Kyle Busch.
Had a problem in New Hampshire where he blew the right front tire out, hit the wall. Doesn't look like he's hit it that hard this time.
Still all clear. Right there, back there with you on your bumper. Now it's 2x2 behind, brought 78 with you.
Yeah,
he hits it right there at that gate.
Yeah, just lost the front end. He was trying to stay in the throttle right behind the 99, but lost the front end. And sometimes it's difficult as you get behind these cars to really judge exactly where that is. And Kyle just getting into the wall.
Kyle was in 20th position at the time of that. And what has been somewhat of a frustrating day for Kyle continues as we get into the late going. First car not on the lead lap. Same it was on the last caution. Mike Bliss in the 32 car is going to get the 2nd of the 2 laps he was down back under this yellow. So put the Oregon native back on the lead lap here.
We'll see what he can do with it now.
Good break to get. So pit stops coming here.
They still can't make it all the way from here, but you'll see a lot of cars pit.
Yeah, those 2 tire guys get 2 again. I'm pretty sure the 48 will get 2.
There's 1 stayed out. Brad Keselowski, Jeff Burton not pitting here.
McMurray.
All right, Vince.
For Jeff Gordon, the car has been so good all day long. Gordon hasn't complained about it, but they've still been tweaking. He says it's a little loose out front, but it's good when he's behind Kenseth. They're going to make a 4-tire change and fuel for Gordon. Jamie?
Paul Menard said, leave it alone. 4 tires, fill it up with fuel. The driver needs some water and some ice. Looking for his first top 10 here, Dave.
First and third place are on your right. They're both, Matt Kenseth going to take 4 tires. Juan Pablo Montoya only 2. Kenseth a little loose. He says, I can deal with it. Montoya, no changes to his race car. Looks like he'll be the first off pit road.
And there were others who took just 2 tires. You see the race off pit road there. We follow up on it and get the restart when we come back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Brad Keselowski is going to lead. He didn't stop. Coming to the restart at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our ESPN telecast today presented by Golden Corral. Brad Keselowski is the leader. He did not pit. The first car off pit road was Juan Pablo Montoya. He had just right side tires. The previous leader and the first one that changed 4 tires on the pit stop is Matt Kenseth, the 17 car in the 11th spot.
Oh,
Contact there.
Murray in the 51. See some dirt flying.
Saw a lot of dirt and grass flying down there. You have to wonder if somebody else isn't going to get their grill plugged up.
Look at Keselowski and Burton both weaving their cars there, and look at this fanning out. Headed for turn 3.
See Denny Hamlin being really aggressive back there too, trying to make his way forward on this restart.
Harvick trying to root himself a hole under Jimmy Johnson for a spot. Couldn't make it stick.
It's about time for Harvick to start making his move.
Clint Boyer 33, David Reagan 6.
You can see Boyer get a little bit loose on the inside trying to make that pass. Here comes Kenseth. He has those 4 tires that you talked about.
Restarted in 11th position. Going to be a pass-through penalty for Marcos Ambrose. Changed lanes before crossing the start-finish line on the restart. That's a violation.
We've seen that get up quite a few drivers this year.
Right there, you see Clint Boyer able to make that pass this time on David Reagan in the 6 car.
Haven't talked a lot about Kansas Clint today, Vince. What's going on with him?
Well, Clint Boyer, who finished 4th in this race a year ago, and they felt pretty good about their chances if they could get it up to the front. But he's really been battling a tight race car throughout much of the day today. They had some electronic problems early, so to be sitting where he is with a car that's pretty good right now, they're pleased with the way their day has unfolded so far as we get into the stretch run here at the Brickyard.
Yeah, Clint Boyer, somebody. Here comes Jimmy Johnson trying to make a pass on the outside, 4 wide. Was this not going to work?
There you go. There it is. Landon Castle.
A lot of cars coming behind here, though.
Look out.
Casey Kane sliding through.
That track narrows up in a hurry. I see all the grass on Casey Kane's car. He's going to make another pit stop here to get it off.
Caution flag is out. Right at the 3/4 mark of the race.
You can see grass on all the grills of everybody behind this. Every one of these cars will have to make pit stops. You know, and that 51 car, Landon Castle, he was the first car that didn't have tires of any kind, stayed out there. And you always hate to be that car. He's done it twice today.
Yeah, worst position you can be in as a driver.
And Castle to pit road to get some tires changed before that car gets torn up any further. This got crazy.
Yeah, I did see Jimmy there gets actually into the wall just a little bit. They're making it 3 now, 4 wide. You see the big pull. Denny Hamlin even got a big draft from that.
Yeah, and 3 of those are normally very conservative drivers that we see making that situation of 4 wide with Reagan, Kenseth, and Jimmy Johnson, but it's getting time to do things in this race now. get such a draft, especially with those 3 cars running like that. You see how Matt Kenseth just pull out and make the pass.
You said it wouldn't work. It didn't work for Landon Castle.
Kurt Busch.
Back in front of you, on the top, in the middle, right here.
Wow, that was pretty cool. Did a great job to miss that. I think he still may have some damage to that front splitter, and see all the grass. You can see it's running hot already. All these cars are going to have to make a pit stop pretty quick to get those grills clean.
Big mess up there in turn 3. Casey Kane, you saw the first one to really dig into that grass. Looked to me like ripped that front splitter off the bottom end of the nose of that car, and if that's gone, that's a big repair for that 4 car that's been so strong today. Under caution for the 5th time, 3/4 of the way through the Brickyard 400. Hey, who mowed the grass? A bunch of them just did. Some pit stops under this caution in the Brickyard 400. Our telecast presented by Golden Corral. Kevin Harvick from 8th place was the first one to make a move to pit road. There were a few behind him that didn't stop. And there are some that'll probably be back again because they've got some more work to do to clean up after the big mess from the incident down in turn number 3 that's put us under this caution a minute ago.
I imagine the ones that are really far back there will come in, get some more fuel, because they're going to get extremely close to the situation of possibly having enough fuel. I don't think we've seen our last caution flag by any means, but you never know.
I think I'm with you on that. Incident began when they went 3 wide into turn 3. It almost looked like David Reagan in the 6 and Castle in the 51 kind of got hooked together somehow and snapped apart.
Yeah, the air will do a lot of things as you get that close and in that tight of a situation. Landon Castle doing a nice job to keep it off the wall. You can see
all the parts and pieces flying off the cars, going through the grass.
And you can see there's still a pretty good bit of cleanup left to do.
Yeah, I kind of worry about some of the other cars getting the grills plugged up, even some of the leaders going through there.
Take advantage of the caution flag opportunity for a quick break.
37 laps to go at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. If you're just joining us, you've certainly missed a lot. David Reagan led the field to green, but it was Casey Kane who led that very first lap. So far today, he's led 48. More on him in a second. Pit road has been very active.
Pit road's been really tough. You see Tony Stewart and Kevin Harvick kind of getting together, trying to get down pit road. Look at Montoya. He gets in the back of the 31 of Burton, tears up the car a little bit.
Then there's Jimmy Johnson and Brian Vickers getting into it. It's also been a very active day for Juan Pablo Montoya on the track and getting into Mark Martin. He's also had some contact on pit road. There he is there, trying to get some debris off of his grill. But guess what? Montoya has been so good at this track, and now he is lurking. He's in 3rd. This, though, incident just a few laps ago, the biggest incident of the day. You can't really go 4 wide.
Oh, you can't go 4 wide. Landon Castle figured that one out. He's the one that lost on this one. Comes sliding across track. Take a look at Casey Kane through the grass. Spins, doesn't hit anything, and everybody's going through this grass, clogging up all the grills, and now they got a heating problem.
Let's take a closer look at what some of these drivers have had to do to get through this. Paul Menard through the grass.
Oh, that's unbelievable. I mean, these guys are carving themselves through there, barely missing these other guys, downshifting big time. Let's take a look at Carl Edwards. Carl gets down into turn 3. There's Mark Martin in front of him. He dives at the bottom, misses him by about a foot, grabs another gear, accelerates right past Landon Castle, back up on the track. I'm telling you what, Nicole and Brad, that was some good driving right
while
there.
all that was happening, he had his hand out the window in the beginning trying to woe down traffic behind him. He saw the accident coming. Outstanding.
Casey Kane, one of the drivers that has splitter issues now because of that. Here's an interesting note. The driver who has led the most laps has not won 4 of the last 5 races here at the Brickyard. As of right now, guess who has led the most laps today?
Casey Kane.
That would be Casey Kane with 48 laps. We're right now working 36 to go. We will reset the field for you right now. Brad Keselowski leads the way. It is Jeff Burton in 2nd and Juan Pablo Montoya in 3rd. This has been his track. What do you expect out of Montoya now that he is, at least of now, playing the strategy right?
Well, I think that Montoya is the guy that we're going to have to watch. You know, with 36 laps to go, he's put himself in good position right now in third position. Car's been relatively clean. He's had a couple of nickups. The one on pit road had the paper and all that type of stuff, but he's still got a good, clean race car. His history here, I think he could be the guy to beat.
Brad, I'll tell you what, I think these cars can run about 35 laps max on fuel. I expect a lot of guys to be hitting pit road before the restart, topping these things off and trying to make it. Yep. It's going to be real tight on fuel.
Tight on fuel. So it will be interesting to see what will happen here because as we see cars coming down pit road, including Paul Menard going in to get some fuel. You see Kyle Busch, he's had a few issues today as well. This could make them obviously good to go till the end.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to go right now. I mean, they got to watch the field just a little bit in case they get a couple green, white checker restarts, something like that. But these cars are getting about 4.7 miles per gallon. That should get them about 35 laps max. This can be exciting, though, but they want to pack this tank totally full of fuel and make double sure they got enough to get there.
Kurt Busch has had an interesting, disappointing day. They're back there on pit road. This is a guy that had so much hope to get Roger Penske's first Brickyard win heading into this race.
Well, you got that right, Nicole. I didn't expect these problems out of Kurt Busch, and it started on lap two when he hit the wall.
Yeah, and we see Carl Edwards here as well. The guys look like they're under there. It looks like they're looking at the splitter on that car, doesn't it?
Dave, what do you have?
Nicole, I've got the part of the splitter they've already taken off. That's what I've got. They took off about the left third of the splitter there, and they're just trying to repair underneath to see if they can get that left front end that went through the grass like we saw repaired to where he can race it well for the end of the race. But it's kind of bent up right now.
So some drivers appear to be good to go with fuel, but we still have 35 laps to go in one of the biggest races of the year. What do you think we are going to see in these closing
Well,
laps?
I think it's going to be interesting because they all did pack their cars full of fuel. Not a lot of guys took tires. If there is more cautions between now and the end of the race, which there will be, what decision do you make? Because you're going to be wore out on tires if you go through these cautions and you don't stop and get tires.
Before we head back upstairs, there you see the 22 of Kurt Busch back on track. Jamie?
Well, he's pitted 4 times after that incident, and this driver is hot both figuratively and physically. He said he was 310 degrees for himself and the car. They're still working on it, but they are good to go to the end, Alan.
All right, Jamie, thanks. Going to get the restart with 34 laps to go. Brad Keselowski, the leader in the 2, has chosen the outside lane. Gets a little bit of a jump on Jeff Burton in 31. The action after the restarts has been so intense all race long. Jeff Gordon trying to drop to the inside of Denny Hamlin. Here's Gordon in that 24.
Yeah, that back straightaway is a great place to use the draft a little bit. You can see Jeff Gordon making that pass to perfection right there in turn 3.
That was 8th position Gordon picked up there. Now first off of pit road on this set of stops was Tony Stewart in the 14. He is back in the 11th position right now.
Tony's had a handful of that race car all day. They've been working on it. He's got into the wall a little bit, so they've just been trying to make it a little bit better for him. So he and his teammate Ryan Newman right there together.
Tony, the 2-time winner here in Indianapolis. Matt Kenseth hunting a spot on Juan Pablo Montoya, the 17, up to 4th spot. Here comes Johnson trying to follow through.
I'll tell you what, watching Kenseth and Jeff Gordon there coming into your screen now, they've been the 2 cars that I've seen that's been able to make passes on faster race cars, so they could drive their way to the front of this before it's over.
One thing is, Jeff Gordon's going to have to make another pit stop. All of these leaders in the top 10 are going to have to make another stop before the end of the race. Some of the cars, a lot of the cars that just pitted can make it to the end.
And Andy, another thing you're watching very carefully are the grill openings on some of these cars, because even the ones who were ahead of the accident that brought out the yellow ran back through a lot of that grass for a little bit under the yellow.
Yeah, that grass was very dense on the track, and I saw a lot of the leaders go through there and collect a lot of that. So I'm kind of watching to see if any of the leaders have to make a green flag stop just to clean the grills.
Casey Kane in the 4 trying to regain some of the ground lost on the spin.
Wasn't sure how much damage was done on the front of that car. Saw Casey Kane be exceptionally fast at the beginning of this race, but he's really struggled back in traffic. See if he can make his way forward once again.
Here comes one of those cars having to come to pit road. Looks like it's Harvick.
Now Harvick stopped under that last yellow.
He may still have some issues.
That have possibly maybe have run over something since that and possibly cut a tire down.
Brad Keselowski, the Michigan native, out in front for Roger Penske. That was the Harvick radio with the gas only.
I think that may be a situation that they can go from this point forward now, and if any cautions do come out, they've kind of made their plans. They're going to stay out.
Doc, is that what it was?
It was simply a planned splash of fuel. He should be okay. Remember, Kevin Harvick is the best closer in the sport. They're hoping that with everyone else having to come on, and most coming on, will help them in the final 10 laps.
Oh, whoa, for third spot there.
I think Jeff Burton was trying to get on the pit road. He did make it on the pit road there. Maybe with a little assist from Matt Kenseth.
And it cost Kenseth the spot. Remember that later. Gordon got by him there. Jeff Burton's in, Doc.
Final stop of the day for Jeff Burton, who has not won a race since October of 2008. They are so hungry. Left side tires have to go on. They haven't put left side on since lap 79. 4 tires, chassis adjustment, and fuel. Jamie.
Chad Knaus again calls for 4 tires for Jimmy Johnson. Track bar adjustment. Fill it up with Sunoco fuel. This too will be their last stop. 15.7, a little bit slower than they'd like.
As close as these guys were to the leader, because we just gone from a restart, they can make this stop and get back up to speed and not lose a lap.
Yeah, this is almost like a road course strategy, and that's why you see a lot of the cars that can't make it making those pit stops now.
The leader, Brad Keselowski, is in, followed by Montoya, Newman, Hamlin, and Kane. Stops with 29 laps to go. Clint Boyer is now the leader. Here's Keselowski, Jamie.
Brad Keselowski led 15 laps fresh off his win in LOR last night, brought it in. They are perfectly in their window now. They said wipe the grill, right side, and tear up off the windshield. They go over to the left side. They will take 4 tires for Brad Keselowski. Dave?
Well, Pablo Montoya will take 2 tires. They're going to raise the track bar. He was a little bit tight right there. The 4 car of Casey Kane, gas only for the 4.
And a slow-looking stop there for Montoya.
They just got right side. They had to wait on the fuel. They had to make sure it was completely full.
So Clint Boyer is the leader. Jeff Gordon is second, 1 1/10 seconds back. Here come more green flag pit stops. Dale Jr., Joey Logano. Vince?
It'll be 2 tires and fuel for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's having the kind of run that he's needed to get back on track in the points chase. A good one for Jr. Jamie.
Joey Logano, who came into this race not sure what they had. They have been battling all day. They've been adjusting. You see the high cam there, watching the 20 car get serviced for what will be the last time today. Right sides only for Joey Logano.
Don't get caught for speeding on pit road here. There have been 20 speeding penalties at this track since 2006. Only one driver that got one of those penalties recovered from it to get a top 10 finish.
There's just no way you can make a comeback after getting caught speeding here, especially in the second half of the race. Vince?
Shane Wilson, the crew chief for Clint Boyer, reminding his team and his driver, no speeding penalties and no mistakes. They're going to make a 4-tire change, also a track bar adjustment for the 33 of Clint Boyer. He's been running strong today, just as he did a year ago when he had a top 5. What kind of result can they get? They'll clean off that grill and go. Dave?
Kenseth was running in the top 10 before he gave up this position to fuel. It'll be 2 tires and fuel. We'll see how long he has to wait. Not long, he's gone.
Shuffle out on the track. McMurray in the 1, Biffle in the 16, Kyle Busch in the 18. That's for 8th, 9th, and 10th. Regan Smith in the 78 in that mix also. Jeff Gordon took over the lead when the others just finished pitting. Now here's Gordon in for his stop, Vince.
Gordon's car has been really good throughout the course of the day, but now that he's been back in traffic, he said it's plowing. They're going to make a 2-tire change for Gordon, give him the fuel he needs to get to the end. No other adjustments for the 24 of Jeff Gordon.
Earnhardt Jr. and Hamlin there for a spot.
Now the only car that can't make it probably from here would be the 6 car of Reagan. He last pitted on lap 114. Tony Stewart pitted on lap 122. He'll have to run 38 laps to the end. He should be able to make that if he saves some fuel. Here comes Reagan, it looks like.
Followed by A.J. Allmendinger. So Tony Stewart goes to the lead as David Reagan, the pole sitter for today, comes to pit road. It's a long haul down this pit road at the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. Takes about 32 seconds to go from one end of it to the other without getting caught for speeding.
And that's without making the stop.
That's without stopping, yeah. And in a business where your job is to go as fast as possible, that can seem a little bit awkward at times behind the wheel, I'm sure. Dave?
David Reagan being told to leave on the jack. He will get a track bar adjustment along with the 2 tires. A.J. Allmendinger right behind him. A 2-tire stop for him as well. No, yes, 2 for Allmendinger in the 43.
So, Indiana native Tony Stewart is now the leader of the Brickyard 400, seeking a 3rd win in this race. He's some 3 seconds ahead of Brian Vickers. Does he have enough fuel to make it the final 25 laps? Will a yellow flag change the whole picture around again? $93-degree day in Indianapolis. You see the skyline of downtown where they're going to have a Super Bowl in February at the corner of 16th and Georgetown, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where the Brickyard 400 continues. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Tony Stewart, the Indiana native, who has such a passion for this racetrack, who finally got a win here after so many frustrations, who picked up a 2nd one, he said, took all the pressure off, is out in front of this race through a strategy play. The question is, can he make it to the finish? And how's the rest of this thing going to play out? Whole thing's kind of turned inside out here in the last 15 minutes or so. When we get done with the racing here, we've got racing of another kind coming up as our coverage of X Games 17 continues from Los Angeles. Rallycross is on the card today. 8 cars racing through the streets of downtown LA. Travis Pastrana has been cleared to race by the medical staff. He's going to be in the car with hand controls and trying to win an X Games gold. It's right after our NASCAR coverage. ESPN today, 5 Eastern, X Games 17 from Los Angeles. I feel like some people in this race have jumped some jumps and twisted around some hoops here to try and get an Indianapolis victory. Stewart out in front with 19 laps to go, Doc.
Indeed he is, Alan. You know, Tony Stewart's grandfather, Gaylord Marshall, drove an oil delivery truck for 40 years here at Indiana. Now, last September, at the age of 95, on his deathbed, Tony went to see him in the hospital. He said, Grandpa, I'm negotiating with an oil company to sponsor my car, and if I get the deal, I'm going to put their name and the color of your truck on the front of my race car for the Indianapolis race. He said, Grandpa raised his head off the pillow, opened his eyes, and smiled. Moments later, Grandpa was gone. So you can imagine right now, today, this one is very personal for Tony Stewart. It is close on fuel. Here's what he had to say.
You sure you don't want me to try to get you a lap and a half here?
Nah, we need more than a lap and a half, buddy. I need you to get everything you can get on the racetrack.
I've been on it. I'll keep going.
He is about a lap and a half away. They say, can you save the fuel? He's going to try. Tony wants this for Grandpa. He wants it for lots of reasons. It's his place. He grew up as a Hoosier, and they are going to roll the dice right now and see if they can pick off the win here, number 3 at the Brickyard. Alan?
Darian Grubb on the right, Stewart's crew chief, the man who's got to make that difficult decision. You heard him tell Tony there just a minute ago, they need more than that lap and a half. Tony trying to build all the lead he can here, and it's up to 5.4 seconds over Brian Vickers. Now, Stewart is part of a group of drivers who pitted under the yellow at lap 122 of 160. He was the first one off the pit road. He restarted 12th. Then all the guys in front of him didn't stop under the yellow, ducked onto pit road for a splash of fuel. They're all, in essence, good to go to the finish from there, Andy. but it's set up this whole, we've got these two different groups of people here, and which one's going to win out?
Well, it looks like Brian Vickers is not going to be able to make it without a stop here, Vince.
That's right. You saw Vickers come in and get 2 tires. They've been happy with his race car, but he was about 8 laps short on fuel. He had no choice. Couldn't save that much on this big 2.5-mile track.
Well, that's interesting to see that he's 8 laps short because he pitted on lap 125. In fact, Tony pitted on lap 122, so he's going to be, we heard the way they were talking that Tony could not make it. He may have to just try to get all the lead he can. He's about 20 seconds ahead of some of the faster cars that pitted under green right now. I don't know if this is going to help him. I think this is really going to kill his chances if he has to make another pit stop.
Now, Andy, while we talk this out and look back through that ticker top of the screen, Jeff Gordon in 15th place right there is the furthest of them in the running order, closest to the front, that made the stop in that burst of green flag stops after the restart. So he'd be the first one, my calculations, that can make it to the finish.
That for sure can make it. There's other cars that can possibly make it. I mean, I see as many as half a dozen cars or more actually in front of Jeff Gordon that can make it the rest of the way.
Yeah, and what I've been watching is from second, which is Paul Menard right now, Mark Martin, Jamie McMurray, Greg Biffle, and Regan Smith, as we see Tony Stewart on pit road now. But these drivers have really backed off over 54-second laps, like they're intent on making it by slowing down.
From the lead, Tony Stewart. Doc?
And they recalculated, Alan. They were about 4.5 laps shy instead of a lap and a half. So they just couldn't gamble. Right side tires, top it off. They had to stop, and now hope they can get some help on the racetrack.
All right, Stewart getting back up to speed. That makes this the race for the lead. Paul Menard in the 27, Mark Martin in the 5. Jamie?
And I talked to Paul Menard's crew chief Slugger Labby this morning. He said the thing that we are hoping helps us here, we get great fuel mileage. We get about 33 laps per fuel run. Right now, if it goes green to the end, that'll be about 35 laps. They've been telling Paul, save fuel, save fuel. We will let you know when we can cut you loose. And just a moment ago, he said, you can open it up a little bit.
He's going to need to. He's got some fast cars behind him.
Yeah, you've got those first 5 right there together, all within 1 second of each other. Now they're drafting a little bit, trying to save a little bit of fuel, but when do you decide, okay, I got to go here. I've got to stay in front. See Kyle Busch right at the end of this, too, in the mix in that 6th spot.
Y'all remember yesterday I picked Greg Biffle as my favorite to win. He hadn't made much noise today, but he's sitting there in the top 5 now.
Yeah, and Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bayne has come back from having to make an early pit stop today because of overheating problems and sit there in the 7th spot.
Bid for second, McMurray, the defending winner of this race. Not just second, trying to get the race lead.
Looks like Jamie might have decided that he's got enough fuel saved that he can go now.
It's turned into another one of the races we've seen this year where pace, strategy, trying to be there at the end has turned the whole running order inside out. But the question is, are all these guys that are racing for the lead going to make it to the finish? How about McMurray, Dave?
Well, Alan, first of all, DJ noticed the lap times. Audibly, you can hear these guys slowing down into turn 1. It's a slow pace for the race lead. Jamie McMurray topped off on lap 125. Crew chief Kevin Mannion told me he needed 2 laps saved out of him. If he believes he's got all that, McMurray might be able to win 2 in a row for Chip Ganassi, who you see there on the right. And he may have just enough, as you just saw, to get by the leader, Paul Menard. But it's a funny game right now. They sound slow. They are slow. They're saving fuel to try to win.
Yeah, Dave, I just saw Greg Biffle back off right here in the middle of the front straightaway and let Regan Smith go by. I think that's what you're seeing. Paul Menard might be the only one that's running a fairly aggressive pace, but I think he's trying to save fuel as well. He looks in his mirror, sees all these guys backing off. He says, well, I think I'll just back off. And now they all come back together.
I talked earlier in the day about what a win at this racetrack would mean to Paul Menard. That story in his own words.
It'd be big, after 30 plus years of trying to win a race at Indy. If we came through with the Brickyard, that would be a huge deal for my family, and we'd all kiss the bricks together.
Paul Menard, the most important race of the year to him. Watching his pace, compared to the pace of Jeff Gordon, who made the green flag pit stop after that last restart and runs in the 11th position, is 12 seconds behind Menard at the moment. Menard's got to try and keep McMurray behind him, manage the pace to see if he can get to the finish, and manage that gap back to Gordon and the others.
Well, he's only got 12 laps to go, and he can manage that gap to Gordon fine. But look here, he's got a little pressure, a lot of pressure from McMurray now. He's going to have to fight these cars right here.
Yeah, and Jeff Gordon's beating him a second a lap right now, which with 12 laps to go, he could get somewhere close there.
Charge from the Daytona 500 winner. Trevor Bayne just took 4th spot from Regan Smith. Bayne in the red and white 21 for the Wood brothers. It's building to a boil in Indianapolis.
Well, you see some drivers have to save more than others. Greg Biffle, like I said, he was 4th. He's finally backed off so much he's lost ground to 7th. And none of these cars, I don't think, in the top 5 are running as fast as they can run. We know that Jeff Gordon and the cars that pitted under green are running as hard as they can go.
Yeah, but can they run faster and make it to the end is the key.
And there is a minimum speed, by the way, that you do have to run.
We're not quite there, though. They've backed off a lot, but not that much.
They're actually getting a little bit close to it, Andy.
I think
NASCAR's watching
racing.
Trevor Bayne, yeah, he must feel that he's got plenty saved because he's just been trying to make almost a pass a lap here for the last 3 or 4 laps.
Bayne pitted on the same lap as Mark Martin and Jamie McMurray and Paul Menard. He doesn't have any more fuel on board. What are the Wood brothers saying, Doc?
Well, they're impressed with the fact that Trevor Bayne had never seen this place before going through the tunnel there on Friday, but right now he's driving like a veteran. They told Trevor, you're going to be short on fuel, but we're going to stop anyway, so go up there and get the lead. He said, on my way. He will pit, by the way, with 7 laps to go.
All right, there's the background on that. Bayne is going to have to pit.
So that's why he's running as hard as he can.
McMurray looking for the lead. Made the bob, made the weave, then had to back off.
I don't think he's serious about making
No,
it.
I think one thing, he's trying to make Paul Menard run a little hard, and he's also seeing exactly how much can I get back in this draft, pull me up, and where can I make my pass.
And Mark Martin right there in 3rd.
And being the leader is almost a disadvantage here when you're trying to save fuel because you can't really know the pace you need to run. The cars behind you can. They can kind of judge how fast they're running based on your speed.
Yeah, I've been real impressed watching Paul Menard's times, though. He's been somewhere between like 54.20 and 54.50, and doing that leading the race, that's difficult. I know that's 0.3 of a second, but that's very difficult. You don't have a speedometer in there to tell you how fast you're going.
Jeff Gordon is 9th. 7.7 seconds back. McMurray goes to the lead. 8 laps to go. The defending winner is out in front. And does he have enough fuel, and has he saved enough to get to the checkered flag?
The thing is that none of these drivers and teams have run this far today. They've been making these pit stops well short of this, so they're not exactly sure. They know what they've been picking up, but have they saved enough in this run?
And again, Jeff Gordon, 1 second a lap faster than these guys. 7 seconds back.
8 laps to go.
8 laps to go.
It's getting good. The thing is, when Jeff Gordon catches all these cars, if they can all make it, it's gonna slow him up a little bit trying to go through them. See, that shot right there, you just saw Jeff Gordon coming into it. Here comes Trevor.
Doc Punch reported he would have to pit with 7 to go.
Come on down. Come on down. 49. Come on.
Final stop for Trevor Bayne. It'll be right side tires and fuel. They are so impressed with how much he had learned here the first time at this racetrack. Running 4th when he had to make his final pit stop and gaining. But it's going to be too little too late for Trevor Bayne. Right side's he down and away.
Menard staying right with McMurray. He wouldn't have dropped back behind him to draft him a little bit to save some fuel, would he?
That's very possible, but they both picked up. They're both under that 54-second bracket now, down in the 53.70 range. So they have picked the speed up.
Well, they're getting some good information from their crew chiefs that are watching all these lap times. They can see, you see Jeff Gordon just coming off of turn 4. We'll look at the speeds at the line here. You can see 166 for the leader.
What's this one?
That's 168 miles an hour.
He made 2 more passes of cars right there on that lap to get himself up into the 5th spot.
How many I'm trying to get? Everybody in front of us is a spot here. Everybody's a spot. Jeff, they're all saving. All the leaders. It looks like they're in slow motion here.
Well, you know, Jeff's just driving as hard as he can, trying to get to their bumper.
Yeah, and he's almost a second and a half faster right now than what they were. Jeff's even picked his pace up just a little bit.
And you see McMurray has put just the slightest bit of gap back to second place, Paul Menard. This could turn into a wild last lap. There could be people running out of gas and a guy charging to try and catch them all. How about McMurray, Dave?
Alan, conversation between him and Kevin Mannion, his crew chief. Did I need to save 2 laps or am I half a lap short? Kevin told him, you're half a lap short. He goes, why? Because something happened or because I saved it? Because you saved it. So the crew chief, confident that he's gotten him there, maybe down to the half lap, as Gordon keeps coming. Jamie?
Slugger Labby telling Paul Menard, we're going to turn you loose here in another 2 laps. He's saving fuel right now. Wait till he opens it up. They're also reminding him it's the same engine, same strategy ahead of him. Vince?
5 of Mark Martin is running third, and Martin had been told by his crew chief, Lance McGrew, I need you to save me a little bit of fuel. Run the same pace you've been running for 4 laps, and then you can go. This is the 4th lap. Look for Martin to be able to put it to the ground and go to the finish.
What's going to happen in these final 4 laps? Leaders in some lap traffic. 32 of Mike Bliss just ahead of him.
Go ahead and go. We're turning you loose. 24 is 2 seconds faster. We can't give up.
Okay, the race is on here, guys. Here goes Paul.
That was his radio. He was told to go. He's gone to the lead. Paul Menard.
Yeah, he was just told that Jeff Gordon was almost 2 seconds a lap faster these last couple of laps. You can see him well in the picture now.
They got to go. They got to go now, whether they have enough fuel or not. If they're going to win this thing, they can't let that 24 catch them.
Gordon is behind Regan Smith, Mark Martin, Jamie McMurray, and Paul Menard. There he goes by Regan Smith. Gordon up to 4th place. Can the 4-time champion charge all the way to the lead in these final 3 laps?
Jeff Gordon has picked his time up back under 53 seconds a lap now for Jeff Gordon.
McMurray going to get passed by 2 as he tries to save some fuel. Martin to 2nd, Gordon to 3rd.
Still a long way to go. 5 miles, more than that. More like 7.5 miles to go.
Jeff Gordon should be able to get by Mark Martin here shortly. If he doesn't have to waste any time getting by Mark, and he's not at all before they get to turn 3. This is Jeff Gordon's race to win right now.
To 2nd place.
He not only has more fuel and enough, he has fresher tires than Paul Menard to run these quick laps.
These fans at Indianapolis are all on their feet, trying to see if the young man who made his racing name on the short tracks of this area can win a 5th Brickyard 400. Paul Menard leads. Gordon is 2nd. 2 laps to go.
Okay, Paul Menard's going to have to run the most perfect laps he's ever run in his life to try to hold that 24 car off. I'm not sure it'll be enough.
Yeah, looks like that he's catching this traffic, Paul Menard, in a good spot. It's going to be up the back straightaway, not to impede his progress any at all here.
There's the 2 crew chiefs. Man, I know what they feel like.
Which is?
Oh, man. You can't even breathe right now, Alan.
Yeah,
Slugger, look at Slugger. He's like, he's got to get my heart started again. Come on, man.
Lap traffic in the way.
See Gordon get everything that he can right against the wall out of turn 3.
Mike Bliss in the 32.
Yeah, Paul's going to need some help from this car. He needs to move over.
Coming to the white
Biggest
flag.
race of your life, bud. Drive the hell out of it. Come on.
1 lap to go to win the Brickyard 400. Menard dealing with lap traffic. Gordon trying to close in turn 1. Menard is cleared out. Gordon's got to deal with the traffic.
He's got enough fuel. That might be enough now, yes.
Looks good so far. This is going to be the biggest day of Paul Menard's life.
But does he have enough fuel to get to the finish? Gordon clear of traffic. Setting up for the finish. Final corners.
Good corner here.
30-year-old Paul Menard, his family with such a long racing history in Indianapolis, they'll kiss the bricks together now. Paul Menard wins the Brickyard 400.
Wow. Oh, this is huge for Paul Menard. He started his career driving for me, and I couldn't
And
be
a
more proud.
home run, buddy. That's what we talked about. Good job.
Gordon gave it a run, though.
What a finish.
Yeah, and what a great job Paul Menard did. He saved the fuel that he needed to, and when it came time to drive the car, he got the speed out of it that he needed. Congratulations to that young man.
Thank you, everybody.
And what a place to get your first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series win.
Unbelievable. Mr. Childress has to be very, very proud of his driver today.
Paul, the first driver ever to get his first Sprint Cup Series win in this oh-so-difficult race. Continuing a theme of the season 2011 of first-time winners. Fourth driver to pick up a trophy this year for the first time. And what a family moment this will be at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Menards, Jamie.
John Menard up here on the pit box, can't believe it. John, this is where it all began for your family. What does this win and this place mean to you?
For Paul to get his first win here, it's unbelievable. He's a good boy. He followed this place all his life. I just can't believe it. I'm afraid I'm going to fall off this pit box. I just don't know what to do.
You've always been so involved on the sponsor side. What does it mean as a dad watching your son get the job done?
My heart is going 1,000 miles a minute. I don't know if I can take it. It's unbelievable. It's just a wonderful place. You know, our whole family spent so much time here. And now that they have Paul's first victory here, it's incredible. It's just incredible.
This man and this family have helped so many drivers at this very place in the Indianapolis 500. You get to go celebrate in Victory Lane.
We're going to go celebrate pretty hard, I think.
Right, John Menard, there's going to be a party.
What a moment for Paul Menard, our Goodyear winning moment. His first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series win at Indianapolis. Think about all the things that just went into that. The calculations from the team to save the fuel they needed. They told him with four laps to go, it's time to go.
Right, and you look at all the other things that happened. He got hit by Matt Kenseth at one time and during the race, almost lost it. Came back to have great strategy, and what a great moment for Paul Menard.
And a great family story it will be when they get to Victory Lane and when they line up along the yard of bricks to plant that oh-so-sweet kiss, reserved only for the winners. And what a charge by Jeff Gordon. Our post-race coverage from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in just a moment. Paul Menard wins after a valiant try by Jeff Gordon. The celebration is on at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for Paul Menard and the Menard family, after the 30-year-old from Wisconsin scores his first career win in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series in what he says is the biggest race of the year to him because of his family's long history at this great track. What a dramatic finish. Jeff Gordon came from 12 seconds back with 12 laps to go to just come up shy at the finish, Vince.
Another half lap, we might be talking about a different winner at this year's Brickyard 400. But Jeff, as you're clicking them off and passing one by one and they're updating you on the radio of how much you've got to make up, what's going through your mind as you know how close it's going to be?
Well, you know, when the biggest key to me was when we came out of the pits ahead of Harvick. I thought that was huge, you know, so Alan did an awesome job. I mean, first of all, what an incredible drive to Hunger Chevrolet. Right from the drop of the green flag, this was a lot of fun today, and I had a blast driving it. The car was awesome. And so when we got in front of Harvick, I thought, okay, you know, I thought that was the guys who were going to race. And then when Alan started telling me there were guys going to try to stretch on fuel mileage, all I could do is run as hard as I could. And I was a little bit loose at the beginning, and we got some traffic, and the car finally tightened up. And then we were really clicking off some laps. But every time I got to a car that was saving fuel, they kind of held me up a little bit and made it a little more difficult for me to pass. So I knew that we weren't quite going to get to Paul. It was really about him running out of fuel. So we tried as hard as we could to put pressure on him. And I got to say, as disappointing as it is to not win this race, it sure was great to run that good. And I got to congratulate Paul Menard. I don't think there's anybody in this garage area that appreciates a win here at the Brickyard more than Paul. He grew up here as a kid, and I think that's pretty special, pretty cool.
Quickly, how bad did you want it on that last lap, knowing you were that close?
Well, I wanted it really bad, leading up to that. But on the last lap, I knew I was too tight behind him that if he didn't run out, I wasn't going to get him. I needed a few laps to work on him. Well, I guess I need a few more laps for him to run out of fuel, too.
Great performance from Jeff Gordon in the 24 today, Alan.
Boy, it was. He put on a show at the end of this race, but comes up one spot shy of victory. You wonder how far back Paul Menard can remember dreaming of what it would be like to drive into victory lane at Indianapolis. He gets the reality now.
167th career Sprint Cup Series start, Paul, and you get the win at the Brickyard. What is this moment like?
I've been coming here since I was a little kid, and my dad's been trying to win this race for 35 years, and so this is for my dad, Brad Tooney, back home. A lot of emotions right now, but these guys, Slugger Lab and all these guys just do a hell of a job, and man, I can't believe we won Indy.
Paul, this morning I talked to your crew chief, Slugger Labby, and he told me the one thing they had going for was this fuel mileage, and it ended up working in your favor. What was it like when he told you, you're free, go for it?
I was saving a little bit and maintaining with the 5 and with the 1, and then I started backing up a little bit more, and they kind of kept backing up with me. So I knew that we saved plenty of fuel, and then I was more worried about the guys that pitted for fuel, and they're coming hard, and we're keeping. Slug kept telling me where Jeff was and how fast he was coming. It set me loose with 3 laps to go, and the car was really good. Clean air is so important. I mean, we stayed out 1 caution, no tires, took off, got in the back, had a pit road penalty, got in the back, and couldn't do anything. So clean air, ECR horsepower, Nipco's on the hood. Menards and my dad and everybody's been coming here for 35 years, and it's Indianapolis.
We talked to your dad up on the pit box. He's so emotional. As you said, he's been trying to win here for 35 years. The money that he's spent supporting drivers, the heartbreak, and now the victory. What does it mean for your family?
It's big. My first year was here was 1989, that I can remember anyway. And I think I was here when I was like 3 or 4 years old too. But just spent a lot of time in the garage area. I think I didn't miss Indy 500 from 89 to 2003. I was here for the inaugural Brickyard 400, 94. Just a really special place for my family, myself. Thanks for all the fans. Indianapolis it's the greatest racetrack in the world, and we've got the best fans here too.
Paul, when you signed with RCR, what was the reality that maybe you would have a chance at making the chase, because now you are a wild card?
We are a wild card. We've had an up and down year. We've had fast cars, been struggling to put the deal together. Be consistent week to week. But it's not a lack of effort. Slugger, he's in the shop 7 days a week, or when he's not at the track, he's in the shop, and all these guys just bust their tails. Have beautiful race cars. ECR horsepower is fantastic, and we got great fuel mileage too, thanks to ECR and Timmy Petty.
Such a humble driver. Paul Menard celebrates his first ever Sprint Cup Series victory. His dad, his mom, his girlfriend, Richard Childress, Slugger Labby, his crew chief, all here ready to celebrate. Reba McIntyre's even in victory lane.
Thank you, sir.
So many different things this win means. NASCAR President Mike Helton there offering congratulations to Paul. Jamie referenced the championship. You see the Sprint Showdown. All of that, though, secondary today to what it means to win at Indianapolis to Paul Menard. You heard it in his voice. You saw it in his eyes. What a victory. There's his dad. They're going to get to go out in a few minutes and kiss that yard of bricks. Special moment it will be for the Menard family. More post-race coverage from Indianapolis coming up.
Back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Paul Menard has been to so many Indianapolis 500s as a fan, so many Brickyard 400s as a fan. Today, he and his crew are celebrating after getting the win here in Indianapolis. There he is with his father. a guy who is very familiar with how it feels to be in victory lane, was so close today, couldn't get it done. That is Jamie McMurray. He's standing by with Dr. Punch.
How close were you on fuel?
Well, it was really close, and I was confused because initially I thought he said 2 laps, and then I thought he said a half. So I was just wanting to know if it was half or if it was 2, and how much I needed to save. I got by the 27 because I wanted to be leading the race. I knew it was going to be easier to defend than it was going to be to try to pass when everyone decided to take off. And we got a little bit lucky today, but really happy. We've had a tough year and had a lot of things go wrong, a lot of bad luck, and it's very nice to have good luck. And had Johnny Morris here from Bass Pro Shops today, and the folks from Liftmaster. So had a good Chevy and got a good finish.
Now, what's going through your mind? You made the pass on the 27 car, handful of laps to go. You know the 24 is coming in your mirror. What are you thinking?
Well, when they said the 24 was 2 seconds back, I honestly was thinking I would rather lead this and run out of gas than finish second and still have enough left and think that you could have won again, because it's so hard here in the Daytona 500. It's so hard to put yourself in that position. You just don't want to ever give it a chance. But certainly congratulations to Paul Menard. He's a really good guy, and his crew chief Slugger, Richard Childress, all those guys, that's really cool to see someone like that win.
Hey, well done, bud.
Thank you.
Jamie McMurray, first top 5 of the year.
Big races this season, a theme. First-time winners. Trevor Bayne kicked it off in Daytona in February. Regan Smith in Darlington today also had a good day. Of course, we had David Reagan in Daytona in July. Today, Paul Menard gets the win here in Indianapolis. And speaking of one of the guys on that list, Regan Smith never finished better than 30th here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That is until today, and he's with Vince.
Regan Smith had never had a top 10 before, and then this year in the big races, the Daytona 500, Darlington, he won that one, the Coke 600 in 3rd place here today at the Brickyard. How do you put that in perspective?
Well, that's the most bittersweet 3rd place of all time, because you could see the leaders. I saw the 27. I knew he was on the same strategy as us, and I wanted to go when he went, and we decided to pull the reins back a little bit, hoping some more of them would run out of fuel. And then I saw the 24 come, and I thought, oh, we're in trouble now because he doesn't have to save it all. So that kind of made our decision for us. The bittersweet part's because I'm so happy for Paul Menard down there. I know what this race means to that family and to him in particular, and can't wait to get to victory lane to congratulate him. That's a really cool deal.
What it means for this team to have the kind of year that you've had, not just the win, but the strides you've taken?
Well, we needed to. We felt like we were a team capable of taking strides, and we had a top 10 car today. That's what we had. If things played out correct, we were going to finish right around 9th or 10th. The strategy was played out for us when the 51 car wrecked. We got our grill covered up in grass and actually had to pit and clean it off and go to the tail end. So we pitted right before the green came out, and it worked out perfect.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Regan Smith, 3rd place.
Such a good story for Paul Menard to make it to victory lane, but keep this in mind about his crew chief. 2 years ago, Slugger Labby went to Daytona with the 23 car with a volunteer crew of guys who had recently lost their jobs. They were trying to go to Daytona together to prove their worth. Today, he has won the Brickyard 400.
They have proved everything. Slugger's always been a fantastic crew chief in this garage area, Nicole. He's done an incredible job out there. Now he's proved his skills on a very biggest stage, one of the biggest stages right here at Indianapolis, Brad. Guy is really good.
Yeah, we've always known Slugger was an outstanding crew chief. But the thing for me is Paul Menard. We've seen him over the past 3 seasons come oh so close to getting that first victory. And like I said earlier in the day, you don't back into these things. You earn these victories. He backed that car up, saved some fuel, and put the hammer down. Paul Menard won the Brickyard 400 today.
And as we said earlier, it puts him in contention to make the chase. Right now, he is a wild card, and right now, guess where he is going? On his way out to the Yard of Bricks for the traditional kissing of the bricks. He's already received so much celebration and so much congratulatory notes. You've heard the drivers telling him this is such a good story. Of course, one of the drivers who visited him in victory lane, the guy who has won here 4 times, who almost was able to get win number 5 today, that would be Jeff Gordon. More post-race reaction from the Brickyard. Paul Menard, your winner.
Well, the 18th Brickyard 400 has been won by Paul Menard, going on the traditional ride around the racetrack to greet all the fans in the convertible. He's got his dad in the middle of that grouping, Richard Childress, the team owner, on the right.
It's got to be a fun ride around this racetrack on the way over to the start-finish line and the traditional kissing of the bricks.
The trophy's ready, the crew's ready, and when Paul and RC and John Menard get back, they'll be kneeling down there to pucker up. More interviews with some of the top finishers in this race. Vince?
Atkins at 5th place. Not the result I know you were hoping for, but how was it today for you?
Really good. I mean, our Crown Royal Ford was really fast. I thought Jeff Gordon probably had the dominant car, and he's just really, really good here. But there was one time we got in front of him where we could stay there for a while, but felt like really overall we had the second best car. Just, didn't work out with strategy, and fuel mileage and all that stuff. But we had a lot of speed in our car, which was nice.
Matkins at 5th place today at the Brickyard.
All right, Vince, thanks. And Tony Stewart knows what that ride around here is like in the convertible after winning. He led this race late, had to make a late pit stop for fuel. He wound up finishing in 6th position to Dr. Jerry Punch.
With Tony Stewart back here in the garage area, Tony, how many battles did you have to win today to finish 6th?
I don't know. We had the problem on the first pit stop there, or the green flag stop there, getting on the outside of Harvick and hitting the cone. So that was hard to take, but we just fought all day. I'm really proud of Darren Grubb and these guys on this Mobile One Office Depot Chevy. They did it. I didn't do it. I mean, I just fought for everything I could get all day, but we didn't have the best car by any means, but they fought hard and did a good job getting us up there.
You guys made so many changes on pit road. They took a packer out, adjustments, wedge, tire pressure, and I heard you say the front end just would not bite. Does anything seem to help it at all?
Clean air. That's the only thing. As famed as this place is and as much history as it is, it's one of the hardest places to race, guys, because it's one groove and the corners are short corners to try to make a run on somebody. And you can't run on the outside of them, so it makes it really hard, and you really got to plan your run on guys and figuring out where to pass and how to play the track position game. So whatever you get here, you appreciate it because you've had to earn it. You don't get anything free here.
You were leading with 20 laps to go, and they said, okay, maybe a lap and a half shy on fuel. I heard them discussing with you maybe going for it and rolling the dice, but you opted to come on pit road.
I was trying to roll the dice and go for it, but, they said a lap and a half, but it was 3 laps I found out from Darian here once we got back to the bus. There's no way we could have saved that kind of fuel and done anything productive on the racetrack. So, it's like he said, he just said, give me everything you can give me, and, we ran that last stint and a half as hard as we could.
He wanted to take Grandpa's Mobile One colors to victory lane today at Indianapolis. He promised him back in September. He tried hard, but it wasn't to be.
All right, thanks, Doc. And Paul Menard arriving at the Yard of Bricks, and they're going to set up the ceremony. Tradition started by the team of our Dale Jarrett after winning this race. His crew chief Todd Parrott over in Victory Lane said, come on, we're going to go do something.
I couldn't figure out why we wanted to leave Victory Lane. We'd worked hard to get there, but obviously Todd had a great idea, and our team enjoyed it, and it's nice to see something that we started as a team continue as a tradition here, and it's a great tradition.
So what's a brick taste like at this moment?
Oh, it is so sweet right now, I can tell you. Proud of that young man right there. Paul Menard's worked hard, worked his way, driven a lot of different kind of cars and things, and it's a really great kiss whenever he's going to bend down right here and
go ahead.
Enjoy those Yard of Bricks that he's driven across 160 times today, and the first one to get there at lap 160.
Whenever you're ready, go for it. We're ready.
Is it always chaotic?
No, we weren't quite this orchestrated. We just, of course, they've got it now down to a science with all the photographers and everything, but we just kind of got out there and did it on our own to start with.
See Jen Roster, that's Paul's girlfriend beside him, celebrating with him. Got to be so proud of him.
Absolutely.
Andy, because of the prominence of the Menard family, there were some who questioned the desire to really succeed at racing of the driver, Paul.
Well, I can tell you firsthand, I worked with Paul for a couple of years. He's got great work ethic. He's an extremely fine young man, and he doesn't take anything for granted. I mean, he knows that he's been blessed in his life, and but he works hard for it. He's done a great job in his career.
And he's celebrating a tremendous win today at Indianapolis. A win that has some pretty big implications for championship hopes for Paul. We'll talk more about that when we continue our post-race after the 18th Brickyard 400. The celebration continues. And at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, in the aftermath of the 18th Brickyard 400, they're still kissing the bricks. The celebration's on. And I suppose if you're going to do the hat dance and get the pictures for all the sponsors, just as well to be puckering up on those bricks than it is.
Absolutely, yeah. I wouldn't be leaving there either. Stay there as long as they want you to, and they'll let you. 365 days before you can even think about doing that again. And that's if you're lucky enough to win this race again.
I think I'd camp out there tonight.
Been talking about some drivers who had adventurous days. Kyle Busch wound up finishing 10th. Dave?
A 10th place finish for Kyle, and at the end of the day, is that pretty good depending on how you're running today?
Characteristically for us here and for the damage and everything that we had today on the M&M's Camry, certainly. Definitely had no idea that, the day would be so ugly, but yet, come out of it smelling like a rose, I guess. So all in all, guys did a great job. We worked our butts off this whole weekend trying to get something out of nothing. Just could never get the car to be fast off the beginning, the first couple laps of a run, and that kind of hurt us qualifying a little bit, marred us back in traffic. But we got up front, and then, on one of those pit stops there, I didn't know the 14 was coming around me. I guess I should have saw his pit board, but, we collected into the 14 on pit road and tore up the car and salvaged back in traffic the rest of the day, but then had a pit strategy there at the end to try to make it on fuel, and we did. So commend Dave and the guys for giving me good fuel mileage. JGR Engine Shop did a nice job today, so we'll take 10th and go on to Pocono.
A day salvaged by Kyle Busch.
And Kyle Busch lines up 4th in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship standings after Indianapolis of the spot. See how the numbers shake out with Dale Earnhardt Jr. now dropping down into that 10th position. Remember, this season, 11th and 12th are wild card spots for drivers between 11th and 20th in championship points with a win. And look what that victory does for Paul Menard.
Yeah, puts him in that spot. We see Tony Stewart moving up into the top 10, moving up a couple spots.
And for people like Clint Boyer and Greg Biffle and Casey Kane, the pressure just builds.
Yeah, it continues to build, and David Reagan falls outside of that group now, even though he has that win.
The Slugger Labby plotted the strategy. Richard Childress assembled the team that won this Brickyard 400. Jamie?
Two very happy gentlemen. Slugger, I'll start with you. I talked to you this morning, and you told me fuel strategy will be on our side. We can go 33 laps, and it played out. What is this moment like?
It's great, but really I got to thank Childress. He took a chance on Paul and myself, and, not many people thought Paul could do it. And I knew by working with him last year at RPM, Paul's one hell of a race car driver, and Richard gives us all the tools we need, and everyone at RCR. So, man, I wish all the guys from the shop could fly here and be here and acknowledge what's going on. But, man, we're at the Brickyard, and to kiss the bricks is just so sweet. But fuel mileage, I didn't lie to you. We told you what we could do, and we stretched it, and we knew when that caution come out, that was going to be the race. And we just worked on keeping the 5 and the 1 behind us, and we kept watching the 24. When he was 13 seconds back, I kept watching him. And, man, we just released Paul with 2 to go, and it worked out.
It's all about communication, and you definitely had it with your driver today. Richard, he said you took a chance. You went to a 4-car team again this year with Paul Menard and Slugger Labby as the crew chief. What did you see in these two together that could benefit this team?
I've always knew Paul could drive. I looked at hiring him 2 or 3 years ago for one of our other cars, and he proved today what he's made of. And I told him this morning, I said, this could be your day. Hang in there, buddy.
And it sure was. It was your day. Richard Childress, 3rd-time winner here at the Brickyard 400.
And pretty happy about it, obviously. Paul Menard, by the way, joining us on SportsCenter later tonight and on our NASCAR Now Roundtable on Monday, 5 Eastern ESPN2. He's got a lot of things that go with winning a race as big as the Brickyard 400. Dale Earnhardt Jr. led the Brickyard 400 for a time. Dave talked to him when the race was done.
Now, a lot of people hot out there today. Junior coming home to a 16th place finish after leading laps. And on that last stop, you guys were on the good fuel strategy. Did you think it might work?
Were we? We run 16th. I don't know if that was the best strategy out there, but congrats to the 27 and that gang, Slugger and Paul. They're a good racing group, and they work hard. But we had a good run. Our car rode pretty good. We cycled around and didn't have the track position at the end, and that's all it was. Everybody was on a lot of different strategies too, but we just weren't. We lost a little track position there on one of the pit stops. I come down behind this guy. I got out of my stall, and I should have come off pit road around 5th or 3rd. We came in 3rd, and this guy got out. I come out of my stall, and this guy was going really, really slow all the way down pit road, so I lost 10 spots just kind of waiting on this guy to go into his stall, which he was way on down there, and
cost a lot of track position there. Well, you can't get it back. Track position's tough at this place. We didn't have a good enough car, and I wasn't wheeling it good enough, I guess, to run like a couple of them were. Some of them guys could get up through there pretty good, but our car was struggling in track.
Just when you think you've heard all the track position nightmares, there's a new one.
All right, Dave, thanks. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. again finishing 16th in the race. So now from the Yard of Bricks back to Victory Lane for photos with the trophies. As Paul Menard, Richard Childress Racing and company celebrate a huge win today at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Managed the fuel strategy just right and held off that hard charge in the final laps from Jeff Gordon to make a boyhood dream come true. His dad, John, celebrating their family's long association with this great racetrack, culminating today with victory in the Brickyard 400. This 18th running of the Brickyard 400 today at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was a memorable one. A lot of twists and plot, exciting action, and a very dramatic finish that saw Wisconsin's Paul Menard celebrating in Victory Lane with his first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series win. 13 different drivers led the race today, changing the lead 22 times. Among the leaders today, Brad Keselowski, he wound up finishing 9th. Vince?
3/4 the way through the race, Brad K thought maybe this was going to be the day he went to Victory Lane at Indianapolis. And then what happened?
I was just really close. We adjusted on our car the whole race, made it extremely fast at the end, and I felt like Jeff and I were the two best cars, but just really close with the Miller Lite Dodge Charger, and just kind of missed the pit sequence a little bit, but worked really hard all day. Fought back from what was a miserable start to the race to have a great end, and just missed the strategy by a little bit. Just, you know, it's just part of the deal. We've already won a race. We know that we need to stay in the top 20 points or get in there and stay in there, and just didn't quite go for all the marbles, you know, afraid that we were going to lose out, but you know, just so close, and proud of everyone on my team, and proud of the speed that we found in our cars, and want to get the captain to Victory Lane in Indy, and we were close, but just didn't quite work out today.
Won the nationwide race at ORP, or Lucas Oil Raceway, on Saturday, and 9th place here at the Brickyard today. Doc?
Well, from front row starter to early leader, it looked like Casey Kane might have the car to beat, and Casey, it sort of started to unravel on you. Take us through your day.
Well, we started off really good. You know, Red Bull Toyota was fast and made a couple of adjustments there early, stayed fast. I think our first time we got 4 tires, it was a slow stop, gave up a bunch of spots there, and then battled from there on and just had a hard time getting back up there. Restarts didn't go our way. The cars wrecked in front of me, and I knew I was going to go through the grass, but I thought the 51 was coming. You know, I don't know how close it was, but I went through the grass, kind of spun, then we ended up further back. So ended up being a tough Brickyard 400 for us, but we were definitely one of the best cars. You know, out in clean air, we were one of the best cars.
How frustrating it is as a driver to know you got one of the best cars on a racetrack, and it's so hard to get through traffic here.
Well, it's just part of coming here. I mean, we know that going into it, and that's why you want to keep track position. If you're going to have your best 6 pit stops of the year, it's got to be here. I mean, you just can't give up track position. 2 tires, 0 tires, 4 tires. Do it all at the right time, and if you don't do it at the right time, you'll never get up front.
Hey, thanks for your time, Casey.
All right, thanks.
Casey Kane finished 18th today, Alan, and dropped back for 1 spot to 15th in the point standings.
Casey led the most laps today, Doc, as we take a look back on the events that unfolded in the Brickyard 400 today. A very competitive race. Again, 22 lead changes, 13 leaders, 5 caution flags during the 160 laps. A lot of contact on pit road during the day.
Yeah, just close racing. Everybody trying to get here at the same time, kind of, and we saw a lot of things happening. Jeff Burton slowing down, Montoya getting into the back of him.
Very narrow pit road. You see Jimmy Johnson right here getting into the side of Brian Vickers. Everybody trying to just get every little spot, every inch they can on and off the track.
Eventful day for Juan Pablo Montoya there. The close call with Mark Martin. Then the trash on the grill causing his car to overheat. Dropped back a spot behind David Reagan and got that to go away. Here was the last caution that set up all the strategy at the finish.
Yeah, 4 wide racing. We've seen great racing here, but trying to go 4 wide. You could see Landon Castle kind of was the meat in the sandwich there. Lost control of his car into 3. Luckily, no other contact, but a lot of grass on the grills.
Yeah, that was the caution that set up all of this strategy for the end. You see a lot of cars had to come to pit road to get their grills clean. Some of them came and got fuel. even pitted just after the green flag came out. And then it was just such a weird race at the end. These cars running, trying to save fuel until it was time to go, and Paul Menard took off when it was time to go.
Paul getting the top off of the fuel on that last caution, staying on the racetrack, got the go from his crew chief late, went by Jamie McMurray, then held off a hard-charging Jeff Gordon to celebrate in Indianapolis Motor Speedway's victory lane, and still celebrating in Indianapolis Motor Speedway's victory lane after a huge win today in the Brickyard 400. If you pick Paul Menard in the Sprint Summer Showdown, you're hoping he wins Atlanta. And you can pick one of your favorite drivers in these upcoming races or join us at the track. There's the schedule for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, the Tricky Triangle at Pocono, the road course at Watkins Glen, and all of those building up to that Chase deciding race at Richmond. Final thought on the Brickyard 400, DJ?
Yeah, just another race that plays out so interesting, but it took a lot of talent by that young man right there, Paul Menard, to get the job done. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, the style of racing here at the Brickyard is a little different, but it had like 3 or 4 different faces today, and at the end of the race, it was very exciting, very dramatic.
Paul Menard joins us on our NASCAR Now Monday Roundtable tomorrow at 5 Eastern. The racing next weekend, the Nationwide Series in Iowa, Saturday 7 Eastern, ESPN2, and the Sprint Cup Series at Pocono, noon Eastern next Sunday on ESPN. X Games 17 is next. Travis Pastrana in Rallycross. That is next. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. It's a beautiful summer day. The fans are on their feet. The drivers are anxious for their once-a-year chance to race in Indy. Green flag, we're underway. Casey Kane leads the Brickyard 400.
Was this not going to work?
Oh, there you go. There it is. Landon Castle. 30-year-old Paul Menard, his family with such a long racing history in Indianapolis, they'll kiss the bricks together now. Paul Menard wins the Brickyard 400.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.